Chapter 413. No way. Luo Zhan was very likely to be gay. Was Lu Yihan turned gay? Slow down. Li Xiqing poured her a cup of tea. Hearing that, Lu Yihan walked in with a gloomy face. Why didn't you wear your glasses today? Su Qianxi moved the stool next to her and motioned for him to sit down. Lu Yihan's eyes softened. Sitting down next to her, he said, I used sun toss. That's what you'll do in the future. You look pretty good without your glasses. Lu Yihan's smile widened as he said, Okay. He had not seen her for a long time, and she did not look so good. Lu Yihan moved his lips and said in a low voice, You've lost weight. Hearing Lu Yihan's cryptic tone, Li Xiqing felt it was harsh. He quickly peeled the shrimp, dipped it in the sauce, and fed it to Su Qianxi. Honey ah! Su Qianxi did not hesitate to take a bite of the shrimp. After eating half of it, Li Xiqing put the other half in his mouth. After eating, she glanced at Lu Yihan casually. Lu Yihan's expression at the moment was indescribable. Ouch, it hurts my eyes. Luo Zhan covered his eyes. It's not good for you two to show up late at night, right? The waiter snickered and served them tea. Luo Zhan gulped it down unceremoniously and asked, Go ahead. You usually don't come to me for no reason. Now that you've invited me for supper, there must be something you want me to do. Humph, look how well he knew him. Maybe he could blackmail him even more. Li Xiqing took a sip of tea and said slowly, Nothing. I just wanted to tell you that Mrs. Li is pregnant, and I'm going to be a father. Luo Zhan stared at him with his eyes wide open. Lu Yihan's hand holding the cup slightly tightened. Looking at Su Qianxi, his eyes narrowed. Su Qianxi met his eyes and nodded happily. Yihan, I'm pregnant. Lu Yihan's heart suddenly felt like it had been bounced by a spring. With a smile on his face, he pretended to be relaxed and said, That's great. Can I be a godfather? Yes. Su Qianxi put her hand on her belly, and her pale face was shrouded in the glow of happiness. Definitely. Lu Yihan's eyes darkened. He picked up the teacup and took a sip. Li Xiqing clearly noticed that the smile on his lips was a bit stiff. Come, let me introduce you. She looked at Luo Zhan. Luo Zhan, this is my good friend, Lu Yihan. Yes. Luo Zhan pouted. He also knows O Ming's woman. Of course Lily and I are classmates, and Yihan is in the same class as us. We often play together. Su Qianxi looked at Lu Yihan. Isn't that right, Yihan? Yes, we are very close. When Lu Yihan said this, he glanced at Li Xiqing and chuckled. Li Xiqing clearly noticed his provocation and raised an eyebrow. Luo Zhan clearly felt that the atmosphere was not quite right, so he quickly tried to smooth things over. How can we not drink on such a happy day? How about some? Then, before anyone could answer, he shouted, Waiter, 2 dozen beers. 2 dozen? Su Qianxi was shocked. Mr. Li has a weak stomach and cannot drink beer. It's too cold. Chapter 414. Drink. He gave Su Qianxi a comforting look. It's okay to drink a little. Su Qianxi did not say anything. He looked at Lu Yihan again. Godfather Lu, are you coming? Let your biological father compete with you. Lu Yihan's hands trembled. Looking up, he met Li Xiqing's playful eyes. This guy was doing it on purpose. Godfather? Biological father? Ha ha ha. Come on. Lu Yihan slapped the table and stood up. Seeing the waiter carrying 2 bottles of beer in, he waved his hand. Open all. Su Qianxi was secretly shocked and pulled the corner of Li Xiqing's shirt. Don't drink too much. I know what I'm doing, Li Xiqing comforted him, but he already had a plan in mind. Come on, let's drink to our biological father. Lu Yihan poured a glass, stood up, and looked at Li Xiqing with hostility. Luo Zhan looked disdainful. A glass? To respect our biological father, you should at least drink a bottle. Lu Yihan was speechless. Come on, let's drink to our child's godfather. Li Xiqing picked up a bottle and gulped it down. Lu Yihan felt his face was burning and sullenly took another bottle. Godfather, let's drink 2 bottles. After gulping down a bottle, Lu Yihan followed up with another. Su Qianxi was shocked and exclaimed, It's easy to get drunk like this. Lu Yihan looked at her, and his eyes softened. He whispered, "It's okay. I can drink better than you think." Li Xiqing was furious, sneered inwardly and shouted, "2 more dozen." In less than half an hour, the three of them had drunk 6 dozen beers. In other words, it was 3 people, but in fact, the main force was Luo Zhan and Lu Yihan. After Li Xiqing drank 3 or 4 bottles, Su Qianxi ordered him to stop. He also found a perfect excuse to drive and stepped aside to watch the game with his wife in his arms. Luo Zhan and Lu Yihan's drinking capacity was not bad, but it was definitely not good. After drinking so much in a row, it was inevitable that they were a bit drunk and started to brag. Luo Zhan put one foot on the stool and pointed to the sky. "Let me tell you, if I were in school, I would be loved by everyone. Look at my face, is it bad? Ugh, it's because I'm too demanding that I can't find a girlfriend now. And my 2 sisters-in-law even think that I'm gay. You motherfastrous cur. Bullied me, doubted me, Lu Yihan leaned on the table and blushed. "Come on, I haven't told her that when I was in school, I was chased all the way home. Qianqian knows. You can ask her." Su Qianxi chuckled. "That's nothing. When Yihan was in school, he was already named the top hacker in our school forum. He's awesome." Tisk. Luo Zhan was dismissive. He looked up at the sky and said weakly, "When I was in school, I was already an international hacker. Top hacker is nothing. Are you still not convinced?" Lu Yihan looked contemptuous and got up from the table. Luo Zhan put his hands on the edge of the table and shouted, "I'm not convinced. I'm Hacker Z. That's because I don't want to develop in that direction. Otherwise, do you think you're famous in the industry? Naive." "Oh my!" Luo Zhan slammed the bottle on the table and roared. "It seems that you're deliberately going against me today?" "Bullshit, I can also." Lu Yihan said contemptuously. "What's there to fight about?" Li Xiqing said casually as he poured water for Su Qianxi. "Just go and compete. Luo Zhan has several computers at home." "Yes, go to my house. Compete." Luo Zhan got off the table and reached out to Lu Yihan. "Let's go. You'll know after the competition. Do you dare?" Chapter 4:15. Luo Zhan stumbled to Lu Yihan's side and put his arm around his back. Lu Yihan mocked mercilessly, "You can't even stand properly. What's the point of competing? You can't stand properly. Obviously. You are swaying. Come on, let's go home and sleep after the competition." "I'll beat you in a second. I'm telling you. I'll say it back to you." The 2 of them walked out with their arms around each other's shoulders, stumbling and smelling of alcohol. Su Qianxi looked at them worriedly and pushed Li Xiqing. "You must be doing this on purpose. They are already drunk. Go check it out. There's nothing to see. It's just a competition." Li Xiqing did not care. "Are you full? Go home?" Su Qianxi stared at him and stood up to catch up with Luo Zhan and Lu Yihan. The 2 guys supported each other and had already walked out of the door. It was a bit cold outside, and Su Qianxi's coat was still left in the room. Su Qianxi shivered and looked out, finding that the 2 men had disappeared. Walking around, she found that the 2 of them had fallen in the grass, Lu Yihan on the bottom, and Luo Zhan on top. "Yihan!" Su Qianxi exclaimed and went to pull him up. Although Lu Yihan was drunk, he also recognized the voice. His eyes opened, he got up, shook his head, looked at Su Qianxi, and said with a smile, "Qianqian, you are drunk. I'll take you home." "No!" Luo Zhan shouted and kicked Lu Yihan. "We haven't even started yet, and you want to run away at the last minute? Coward." Lu Yihan was furious and kicked him back. "Get up. Let's compete. I'm not afraid of you. Let's go." Su Qianxi grabbed Lu Yihan's hand and shouted, "Yihan, stop it. Let's go home." No, Qianqian, you don't understand. This is a fight between men." Lu Yihan waved his hand. "Yes, this is a fight between men." Luo Zhan got up and grabbed Lu Yihan. "Don't run away. Let's go. Who the F***ck escaped? Let's go." Lu Yihan was dragged by him, and the 2 staggered toward the neighborhood where Luo Zhan was. Seeing that they were about to leave, she yelled, "Li Xiqing." She did not respond and ran to the door of the porridge shop. Then she saw him slowly walking out and giving her a massage. Su Qianxi grabbed him and shouted anxiously, "Hurry up, they are all gone." Li Xiqing glanced at the direction they were going and said nonchalantly, "The direction is not wrong. We can go back." Su Qianxi was exasperated. If they are together, something bad will happen. What can happen to two men? Li Xiqing pinched her cheek. "Don't worry. They are both straight men." Su Qianxi nodded. Lu Yihan also liked Su Qianxi, and there was no doubt that he was straight. But Luo Zhan should also be straight, right? Su Qianxi heard that, glanced at him and said, "I'm not worried about that. I'm just afraid that they are too drunk and will freeze on the street. Then we will know if we follow them." Li Xiqing pinched her nose. "I'll go get the car." "Okay." Li Xiqing quickly drove over and followed them. Su Qianxi saw them enter the neighborhood with her own eyes and calmed down. "Mrs. Li, let's go home." Chapter 4:16. The two walked up with their arms around each other's shoulders, and Luo Zhan began to dig into his pockets. Lu Yihan waited for him to open the door, leaning against the cold wall with a splitting headache. After waiting for a long time, Luo Zhan still did not find the key. He stood there stunned. Lu Yihan was impatient and waved his hand. "Can you do it or not? Take it out." Luo Zhan snorted and searched all the pockets. "Strange, where is my key?" Lu Yihan was annoyed. He pulled him and reached into his pockets. Ding! The elevator arrived. A girl came over with a bag, took out the key, and opened the door. Lu Yihan and Luo Zhan did not care. Lu Yihan started to search under Luo Zhan's shirt. He felt something hard, but Luo Zhan's trouser pocket was too tight for Lu Yihan to take it out. "Hey, relax. I can't get out." The girl heard this and looked over. From her angle, she could clearly see the two of them overlapping. Luo Zhan shouted, "Come out. I'm already very relaxed." "Oh, it's going to break. Put your foot down." The girl's eyes lit up, but she quickly opened the door, walked in, and quietly hid at the door to watch. Finally, Lu Yihan took it out, and then there was the sound of a key. The girl blushed. "Oh no, you are taking out the key. I thought you were taking out the bird." Then Lu Yihan inserted the key and the door opened. As soon as he opened the door, he smelled the traditional smell of an otaku. Clothes, socks, and scarves were all piled together on the sofa. Inside, there was a long row of desks with 3 computers in a row. There were take-out boxes in the trash can at the bottom. Looking up, there was a stack of instant noodles, including Master Kong, Uni-President, and a few that Lu Yihan had never seen before, as well as all kinds of ham sausage instant noodle partners, and kimchi. Lu Yihan looked disgusted. "Why does this look like a dog kennel?" "No, a dog kennel is much cleaner than this." Luo Zhan snorted, closed the door, and went into the bathroom. Lu Yihan took off his coat and sat on the sofa. Casually grabbing it, it was a used sock. Lu Yihan's obsessive-compulsive disorder was acting up. His head was already hurting, and seeing this scene, he had a headache. He just sorted the pile of dirty clothes and socks, and then he heard Luo Zhan's voice. He shouted, "Come on, come on, come on. Come on." Lu Yihan looked disdainful. Dog kennel. Luo Zhan also felt that his nest was like a dog's nest, but he didn't care at all. He turned on a computer, and all 3 screens were lit up. Then, Luo Zhan rummaged below, found a laptop, and threw it to him. Lu Yihan opened it and started typing. He was getting more and more dizzy and had a terrible headache. After turning it on, Luo Zhan couldn't stand it. "It's so dirty," Lu Yihan complained, but when he smelled the vomit, he couldn't help but throw up. The two of them vomited together. Lu Yihan accidentally vomited on himself and took off his clothes in disgust. Luo Zhan was also disgusted. He stumbled to his feet and wiped his mouth with his sleeve. "Let's go. I'll take you to a clean place." As she spoke, she took off her shirt, pulled Lu Yihan back to the room, and fell into her own bed. The room was much cleaner. Lu Yihan didn't mind and fell into his bed. The two of them, one horizontally and the other vertically, were sleeping soundly, completely unaware of what was happening. In the middle of the night, Lu Yihan was shivering from the cold. He hugged a stove and slept soundly. Death. Chapter 4:17. Seeing this, Luo Zhan snorted. There are clothes in the closet. Put one on and get out. Lu Yihan walked to his closet and opened it. There was a strong smell of rancidity. Lu Yihan was about to throw up. His first reaction was to close the closet door. Resisting the urge to beat him up, he gritted his teeth. Can't you live like a human being? Luo Zhan rolled his eyes at him. Wear it or not. I don't even want to wear my new clothes. There was no heating in the south, and it was raining outside. The temperature was only a few degrees. Lu Yihan shivered in the cold, jumped onto the bed, and pulled the quilt over him. Hey, what are you doing? Are you gay? Luo Zhan yelled. Lu Yihan was much stronger than him. Pulling the quilt over to him, he felt much more comfortable. Luo Zhan did not have anything on him. Leaning against Li Xiqing's cold body, he did not fight him, in case he froze to death and had to take legal responsibility. Pursing his lips, Luo Zhan reached out to open the cabinet on the bed and pulled out another quilt. Rolling the quilt, he walked down, opened the closet, and threw a few clothes at Lu Yihan. After Lu Yihan was comfortable, he picked up the clothes and saw the brand new tags on them. He couldn't help but laugh and said, My goodness, such nice clothes, but you made them look like they were worn by a tramp. You don't want them? Give them back. Then he reached out to take them back. How could Lu Yihan give them back? He put the clothes on. However, they were a bit short. His pants were also a bit short. Lu Yihan stood up and purposely compared their heights. Lu Yihan was 185 centimeters tall, a little shorter than Li Xiqing, but he was definitely tall. However, Lu Yihan looked at him with disdain. Are you 1.7 meters tall? F***ck off. I'm 178 centimeters tall. Luo Zhan threw a punch at him. Lu Yihan dodged and said, Jacket, it's freezing. I don't have a new jacket. An old one will do. Luo Zhan lay back down, waved his hand and said impatiently, Outside. Take one and get out. Lu Yihan picked up the clothes and went out of the room. However, as soon as he stepped out of the door, he smelled an extremely unpleasant odor. Frowning deeply, Lu Yihan couldn't understand how such a person became a hacker. He couldn't even take care of himself. After walking around outside, Lu Yihan concluded a few points. 3 meals were taken out, clothes were washed at least once a week, toiletries were produced at the beginning of the year, and most of the bottles were still dusty. He could not look straight at her. Lu Yihan's headache worsened. Glancing at his clothes, he accepted his fate and started to pack up. After throwing the clothes into the washing machine, Lu Yihan began to clean up the living room. After working back and forth for more than 2 hours, the clothes had been washed 3 times, and the living room had been completely changed. Lu Yihan was very satisfied with his masterpiece. He opened the door and went in. Luo Zhan was sound asleep. She searched through his wardrobe, new, old, expensive, cheap. She didn't care if they were ruined or shrunk. She removed all the tags and threw them into the washing machine. After drying all the clothes, Lu Yihan left a note. I will not return the clothes for the debt. You don't have to thank me too much. Luo Zhan slept until the afternoon. When he woke up, it was already past 3 o'clock. Seeing the note on the bedside table, Luo Zhan didn't care. He threw the note away and got up to go to the living room to find clothes to wear. He was surprised to find that the room was very clean, very clean. Luo Zhan couldn't imagine that his doghouse could be so clean. The pile of dirty clothes and socks were all gone, as well as the table, sofa, and floor. God, is this man really a man? What a good wife and mother. Luo Zhan sighed. A cold wind blew, making him shiver. Unable to find clothes in the living room, Luo Zhan turned back to the room and found that the wardrobe was also empty. Luo Zhan found that except for the big underpants on his body, he had nothing to wear. Chapter 4:18. It was colder this year than usual. Su Qianxi was learning how to make cakes from Lu Sa in the kitchen. Tomorrow was New Year's Eve, so she could keep the cakes for the ancestors. Qin Shuhua also came in to help. While teaching Su Qianxi, she also told her what to pay attention to during the new year. Su Qianxi listened and felt the atmosphere was harmonious. Song Yifan had just returned from London and immediately came to visit the old house. Hearing that Song Yifan was back, Su Qianxi happily told Qin Shuhua and ran to the living room. Seeing Song Yifan and Li Xiqing sitting face to face, she called, "Dad." Song Yifan's heart melted when he heard that. He waved at her and said, "Su Qianxi, I brought you a gift." Su Qianxi was even more surprised. She quickly walked up and sat next to him, looking forward to seeing him take out a gift bag. "Thank you, Dad." It was the first time Su Qianxi had received a gift from her father. She held it with joy and couldn't hide her smile. Li Xiqing was a bit jealous, but seeing her so happy, he did not say anything. He said slowly, "What did father-in-law Song bring for you? Don't you want to open it?" Su Qianxi did not let go of the gift and said, "I'll open it tonight." Song Yifan chuckled and rubbed her hair. "In a few days, do you want to go back to your hometown with me?" "Your hometown?" "Yes. Grandma is there. I told her about you, and she wants to see you." "Where is it?" "Dan City." "Wow, that's far." Su Qianxi blinked, her big eyes sparkling. She was a bit excited. "Do you want to drive there?" "Yes, it's about 3 hours." "Great." Su Qianxi happily agreed and looked at Li Xiqing. "Mr. Li, do you want to go?" "Okay." It was rare for Su Qianxi to be so interested, so how could Li Xiqing say no? Su Qianxi got Li Xiqing's approval and smiled even more happily. She asked Song Yifan, "Then why don't you spend the New Year here? Tomorrow is New Year's Eve. Shall we go together after dinner?" "No thanks. I have to go back to spend the New Year with my parents. I will come pick you up on the second day of the New Year." "What?" She was a bit disappointed. "You have to come all the way here?" "No, I'll let him drive there. We'll use the navigation. Give me the address." "Well, it's more convenient this way." He waved at her. "Come here." "What?" Although Su Qianxi was asking, she had already walked over. He reached out and hugged her in his arms. "It's a bit cold. Hug my wife to warm your hands." She blushed and nudged him with her elbow. "Don't be serious. It's really cold. Feel my hand if you don't believe me." She touched it, and it was indeed a bit cold. She grabbed his hand and put it in her pocket. With a smile on his face, Li Xiqing held her tighter. Song Yifan did not know whether to laugh or cry. "In front of me, who has been single for 10,000 years, is it appropriate for you to act like this? You'll get used to it." Li Xiqing did not feel embarrassed at all. Su Qianxi blushed and felt a little embarrassed. Chapter 419. She blushed and stood up. "I'll walk you out. It's fine. Keep warm. It's cold outside, and the baby is afraid of the cold." Song Yifan waved his hand and walked out with his bag. After Song Yifan walked away, Li Xiqing could not help but start to grope her. Su Qianxi slapped his hand away and warned in a low voice, "We're still in the living room. Then let's go back to the bedroom." Li Xiqing stood up with her in his arms and carried her back to the bedroom despite her protests. Su Qianxi blushed, reached out and patted his back, shouting, "Stomach, stomach." He paused and felt a bit resentful. He reached out and opened the door. Entering the room, he locked the door behind him, then put her on the bed and kissed her hard on the face. Gritting his teeth, he whispered, "I shouldn't have let you get pregnant so early." Su Qianxi chuckled, put her arms around his neck, and kissed him on the lips. "Just wait a few more months." 2 months. 9 months. The baby is less than a month old. 2 months. Didn't you say the first 3 months and the last 3 months wouldn't work? He bit her. "Only 2 months left, Mrs. Li." Su Qianxi nodded. Su Qianxi blushed slightly and looked away. Li Xiqing put his arms around her and kissed her face, from her mouth to her neck. Although he was lying on top of her, he was very careful and did not push her belly. Su Qianxi pretended to be calm, but she could not keep it up after 2 minutes. She pushed him away and said, "No more kisses. No food. Not even a kiss?" He was very angry. "Mrs. Li, do you want me to starve to death?" Su Qianxi pushed his face away and said with contempt, "It's been so many years, and you still haven't starved to death. I used to be ignorant when I was young. Now that I've grown up, I know how to find food." Su Qianxi heard that and chuckled. She turned over and said, "I'm sleepy. You can go play by yourself." Li Xiqing was depressed. He had gotten himself into trouble, and the fire extinguisher had stopped working. What a tragedy. She took off her coat and found a place to lie down on the bed. Li Xiqing followed her and hugged her tightly under the blanket. In the beginning, he was still obedient. She was in a daze, and she felt his hands touching everywhere. Her breasts were pinched, and her body shivered. She slapped his hand back. "Behave yourself." He stopped moving, but not long after, Su Qianxi felt that there was something rubbing against her behind. It moved a little and seemed to be getting more and more intense. "Oh, you are so annoying." She was annoyed and turned around. "I am sleepy, really sleepy." Sensing that she was really unhappy, Li Xiqing said sullenly, "You sleep. I won't touch you." Su Qianxi was speechless. If he didn't touch her, it would be even worse than if he did. Li Xiqing hugged her and kissed her on the cheek. "I was wrong. Don't be angry. Close your eyes." Su Qianxi was not sleepy anymore. She reached down and gently pinched him. "Ouch!" He gasped and looked at her. She was lying with her eyes closed, but her hands were moving, touching him softly. He pressed her hand down, and her face became redder and redder. Pretending to be fierce, she said, "Just this once." Chapter 4:20. Su Qianxi blushed even more. Unbuttoning his shirt, she reached inside. Li Xiqing put her hand in and guided her. Su Qianxi closed her eyes and blushed the whole time. At the last moment, someone knocked on the door. Su Qianxi wanted to take her hand back but was stopped by Li Xiqing. "Just a little bit more." Li Xiqing felt a bit uncomfortable, holding her hand. With a low growl, Li Xiqing wiped himself with a tissue and went to open the door. However, it was someone he had expected. Su Qianxi also got up and looked out. Standing in front of their door was a young man who looked about 24 or 25 years old. He had long hair, red lips, white teeth, and bronze skin, looking healthy and strong. Looking at his facial features, he was somewhat similar to Li Xiqing, but Li Xiqing looked more cold and reserved, while this man looked a bit dangerous and fierce, arrogant and domineering. He was very tall and looked a little taller than Li Xiqing, but his body looked much stronger than Li Xiqing. In such a cold winter, he was only wearing a tight black vest, which outlined his healthy and strong biceps, which made Li Xiqing's eyes twinkle. When the young man saw Li Xiqing, he whistled. "Long time no see, brother." Su Qianxi walked over and saw the man. Her eyes lit up and she said, "Brother-in-law." "Sister-in-law is so beautiful." Li Jinan curled his lips. It was not a big smile, but it was very eye-catching. It was the first time that Su Qianxi had been complimented by a man of his age. She blushed and said, "Thank you." Li Xiqing felt a sense of crisis. He pushed his brother away and slammed the door. Su Qianxi blinked and looked at him in confusion. He grabbed her arms and whispered, "Don't be seduced by my brother. Although he is handsome, he is very dangerous." Su Qianxi smiled and said helplessly, "He is your brother." However, Li Jinan was indeed very dangerous. Captain Li's generation was a general, and Li Xiqing and Li Jinan's generation was the third generation of the military. Except for Li Xiqing, the three brothers of the Li family had all joined the army. However, Li Beixing was a true lieutenant colonel. As for Li Jinan, it wasn't easy for him to obtain a few military merits in Xinjiang and become a major, but he had to retire at the most critical moment. In her past life, Li Jinan had probably informed his family about his retirement around the same time. There was no way of knowing what Li Jinan did after that. He would only return home twice a year, but the things he did were definitely not good things that could be seen by others. Li Jinan was given the cold shoulder and rubbed his nose. Qin Shuhua walked out. When she saw Li Jinan, she was overjoyed. "Jinan, when did you get back?" Li Jinan smiled and called out, "Mom, did you miss me?" Qin Shuhua was overjoyed. She looked up and down and said, "Wow, you've lost weight, but you seem to have grown taller. Was it tiring in Xinjiang?" "I'm not tired." Li Jinan put his hands in his trouser pockets and looked at the door of his second brother's room. It seems that second brother has a good relationship with second sister-in-law. Chapter 4:21. I'm not cold. Li Jinan hugged Qin Shuhua. "Where is Grandpa?" "He's in the room. Let's go see your father." Qin Shuhua took Li Jinan's hand and was about to leave when Li Xiqing's door was opened again. Seeing him come out, Li Jinan was not in a hurry to see Grandpa. He stopped and said, "Brother, the same place." Li Xiqing squinted, walked in front of him and said, "Let's go." Su Qianxi walked out and saw the brothers leaving one after the other. Looking at Qin Shuhua, she asked, "Mom, where are they going?" "Who knows? These two always have secrets. Ah, they've grown up." Qin Shuhua sighed and then seemed to think of something. Waving at Su Qianxi, she said, "Look at the children's clothes your aunt sent from abroad. I'll give them to you." "That's too soon." "Not soon. We have to ask your grandpa to give the child a name." Su Qianxi was a bit embarrassed. "How old is he?" "It's not even a month. It's better to be prepared. Come on." Li Jinnan threw a cigarette to Li Xiqing, lit it, and took a drag. Li Xiqing looked at him with a complicated look. "Have you decided?" "Yes. It's not easy to be where you are now. Have you thought about it?" "I have submitted the application." Li Jinnan let out a long puff of smoke. "There is no turning back." Li Xiqing sneered and hit him on the shoulder. "Dad will break your legs." "Fine, I'll just give up my legs." Li Jinnan grinned, bright but playful. "I still have you. At most, I'll be punished and stay in the hospital for a few days, and everything will be fine. The punishment will hurt a lot." Li Xiqing let out a breath. "Think about it yourself, but it's really a pity. You've already made it this far. How many people can't reach this level in their lifetime?" When Li Jinnan heard that, he knew that Li Xiqing approved of his way of doing things. He took his hand away with a smile and flicked the ash off his cigarette. "This kind of life is boring. It's not what I want. You want to explore the world. Do you want to explore the world?" "I haven't decided yet. I'll see when the time comes. Anyway, I'm not going back to the army. It's boring." Li Xiqing patted him on the shoulder with sympathy and admiration. "Then think about how to tell Grandpa and Dad. We'll talk about it after the new year. Let's enjoy the next few days first." Li Jinnan's lips curled up. He was as ruffian as ever. He reached out and hammered him. "I'll take you to a party tomorrow night. I guarantee it'll be fresh and exciting. Tomorrow is New Year's Eve. Stay at home and accompany Grandpa. You won't be home for many days." "No, I have to go tomorrow." "You go too." "I want to accompany your sister-in-law." "Bring sister-in-law along." Li Xiqing glanced at him and asked, "What game?" "A bet." Li Jinnan's voice lowered. "I don't have any money." Li Xiqing was speechless. That was what she was planning. Turning around, Li Xiqing decided to ignore him. Back inside, Lu Sa was already preparing dinner. Qin Shuhua and Su Qianxi were sitting on the sofa, playing with a lot of things. There were children's clothes and toys. Li Jinnan smiled wickedly. "Mom, didn't sister-in-law just get pregnant? You are too impatient." Chapter 422. Li Jinnan was despised and immediately shut up. Li Beixing soon arrived home. The three brothers chatted and soon sat at the table together. Captain Li was very happy inside. "It's been a long time since we got together. It's so comfortable. The three of you, when you were little, I had hoped that you would be successful. Now, all of you are successful, and the most successful is Xiqing. You even have a baby. Ha ha ha, Qianqian, did the doctor say when you are due?" Su Qianxi was embarrassed. "Ahem, Grandpa, not so soon." The old man laughed heartily, and the others also laughed happily. After dinner, Su Qianxi took a shower and went to bed. Pregnant women were sleepy, and she did not take a nap today, so she quickly fell asleep. Early the next morning, the sound of firecrackers could be heard everywhere. People were worshipping their ancestors everywhere. Su Qianxi was taken by Qin Shuhua to worship the ancestors and see all kinds of ants. After the whole day, her face was stiff from smiling. After returning home in the afternoon, Su Qianxi took off her shoes and fell asleep on the bed. Lu Sa had gone home for the new year, so they had to do everything themselves. Su Qianxi originally wanted to sleep for a while and then get up to help, but she accidentally overslept. When she woke up, Qin Shuhua had already finished and prepared the dinner. Su Qianxi blushed and explained a lot to Qin Shuhua. Originally, she thought that Qin Shuhua would dislike her for being lazy, but unexpectedly, Qin Shuhua smiled and said, "It's okay. Pregnant women are sleepy. You are also tired today." Qin Shuhua's change was so big that Su Qianxi was a bit unprepared. She quickly helped set the table. When the family was eating happily, the elders gave everyone red envelopes, and everyone gave red envelopes to the elders. One after another, Grandpa was very happy. After dinner, Li Jinnan was a bit excited. He caught Su Qianxi and said, "Sister-in-law, do you want to go play with me?" Su Qianxi was surprised. Su Qianxi was a bit surprised. In her previous lifetime, Li Jinnan had never said a word to her, let alone asked her out. Subconsciously, Su Qianxi looked at Li Xiqing. Li Xiqing looked at Li Jinnan with some displeasure and said, "Go away. Second brother, second sister-in-law hasn't been there either, right? I'll take her out to play and see the world." "What are you going to do?" Su Qianxi was bored at home, eating, sleeping, and visiting relatives all day. Li Jinnan was a very playful person. If he said it was fun, it must be very fun. "To the casino." Hearing that, Su Qianxi's eyes lit up. Li Xiqing cursed inwardly and said in a low voice, "The casino is full of good and bad people. There's nothing fun here." "Second brother, that's not right. Didn't you often go to the casino to play? Don't tell me you have an old lover in the casino and don't want to bring sister-in-law there?" Li Xiqing said, "Your plan is too obvious." She smiled and took his hand. "I want to go. I haven't been to that kind of place yet." In other words, she had never been there in this lifetime. In her previous lifetime, she was lucky enough to be coaxed there twice by Tang Menjing. It was really fun inside. Hearing Li Jinnan's proposal, Su Qianxi also felt a bit itchy. Li Xiqing stared at Li Jinnan, but under Su Qianxi's eager and begging eyes, he had no choice. Okay. However, no one could have imagined that such an accident would happen. Death. Chapter 423. Star City was the most mysterious large entertainment venue in Kingstown. It was a combination of casino, entertainment, leisure, fitness, trading, and catering. The consumption level was far beyond ordinary people's expectations. Every person who entered this place was either rich or powerful, and there were also many beautiful women who spared no expense to come up and catch up. A coquettish and high-profile Bugatti stopped at the entrance. Many people who were squatting at the entrance looked over, especially when they saw a tall and strong young man coming down from the driver's seat. He was dressed in black, and his tight vest showed off his healthy and taut lines. He was wearing a thin black leather jacket, and he looked very handsome and ruffian. Those people's eyes lit up, and they were like wolves and tigers. The doorman came up, and the tall man threw the key in his hand and turned to look at the door of the back seat. The man who walked out from behind was wearing a long dark gray coat with a high collar and a light gray cashmere sweater. He was tall and straight, and his eyes were cold and distant. His facial lines were tough, and he was reserved and steady. He looked more mature than the others. He stepped out, causing many people to exclaim, "Li Xiqing!" Li Xiqing glanced at the magnificent gate, ignoring the flirtatious eyes of the beautiful women, turned around, and reached out to the back. A slender and petite figure came down. Su Qianxi's eyes were shining, looking at the gate of Star City with excitement. The Bugatti was driven away by the doorman, and Li Jinnan stepped in first. It was not the first time that Su Qianxi came to Star City, but every time she came, she felt a little excited. She skipped in excitedly, but she was hugged by Li Xiqing after 2 steps. "You're a mother now. Be careful." Su Qianxi pouted slightly and gave him a stare. However, this did not affect her good mood. Looking left and right, especially when she saw those big breasts and white legs, she subconsciously compared them with herself and couldn't help but cover her chest with her hand. Li Xiqing couldn't help but laugh and did not say anything, looking forward. Seeing Li Jinnan walking further and further away, Li Xiqing also quickened his pace and called, "Jinnan, wait a minute." The casino was on the 6th floor. When they took the elevator up, they heard the noise as soon as the elevator door opened. One by one, the sexy bunny girls held the trays in their hands up to their ears, twisting their waists in an enchanting manner. Seeing such a tall and handsome man like Li Jinnan, she winked at him and handed him a glass of champagne. Li Jinnan took it, and the unseriousness on his face disappeared. He smiled slightly and acted like a proper gentleman. Su Qianxi also took a glass, but Li Xiqing took it away and replaced it with water. Fine, she wouldn't drink. She wasn't a big drinker anyway. After exchanging 10 million chips with Li Jinnan, Su Qianxi only got 100,000. Depressed, she took Li Xiqing to the side to bet big or small, but Li Xiqing was a little absent-minded. Su Qianxi bet big, and before the pot was opened, Li Xiqing said, "You play for a while. I'll go see Jinnan." "Okay, go ahead." Su Qianxi waved her hand and shouted with the people next to her, "Big, big, big!" Chapter 424. Li Jinnan and the man's gambling game was set in a splendid room. As soon as he entered the room, he saw a few men smoking, drinking, and chatting. When they saw Li Jinnan come in, a few people turned around. One of them was the most arrogant. He wore a big gold chain around his neck and a cigar as thick as a finger in his mouth. He was wearing a thick raccoon fur coat. He sneered and said, "I say, boy, you really dare to come alone?" Li Jinnan did not say a word, poured all the chips on the table, and finally threw the box with the chips. He looked sullen and said, "Cut the crap. Where is it?" "Kiske, what's the hurry? I've already said that the market price of that thing is 50 million, but I don't care about money. As long as you can beat me at the gambling table, that thing is yours. But why did you exchange so many chips?" As he spoke, he stuck his head out and looked. There are millions here? It's still far from 50 million, right? Li Jinnan looked even more sullen and slammed the table. "The market price of that thing is at most 20 million. Are you *king kidding me? If I say 50 million, then it is 50 million. The big man spat out a thick cloud of smoke and spread his hands. "Don't take it if you have the guts. Take your chips and get the hell out of here." "Ha!" Li Jinnan was disdainful. "What do you want to bet?" "5-card stud." "What if I win and you don't want to admit it?" Li Jinnan looked sullen. Old Jean, am also a reputable person. I won't go back on my word. Otherwise, who in the underworld would play with me? Don't you think so, boy?" That was true, but Li Jinnan had to be careful of Lao Jin because he was too insidious and cunning. Fortunately, he had a backup plan. "I met old Madame Jean once some time ago." A cold and steady voice came from outside. Everyone looked towards the door. A steady and tall figure appeared in front of everyone. He walked in slowly and said in a calm voice, "The old lady is in good health. She has always praised her son for being sensible and considerate. Tell me, if I tell her what you said, will she believe me?" "Li Xiqing?" Lao Jin obviously recognized him. Although this guy was not in their circle, Li Xiqing had been so famous recently that all the people in the legal circles had to give him face. Old Jin's mother, Mrs. Jin, was one of the well-known old artists in the country. Unfortunately, her health was getting worse and worse, so she didn't meet people easily. Some time ago, she had painted a jade sculpture for Li Xiqing, which showed how influential Li Xiqing was. Even Lao Jin had a whole new level of respect for this kid. Seeing Li Xiqing here at this moment was far beyond his expectation. Li Xiqing nodded. "It's me. I don't know what Mr. Jin has against my brother. Why don't we solve it together?" "This is your brother?" Lao Jin sneered. "No wonder you are so bold and generous. It turns out that you are Li Xiqing's brother." Li Jinnan's expression changed slightly, and he warned, "Don't talk nonsense." "What? You dare to do it, but you don't dare to admit it? When you came with that girl to bully my little lover a few days ago, you were not so cowardly. You threw millions at me. You were so rich. What happened now? You don't even dare to say a word in front of your brother?" Chapter 425. I'll explain it to you later. Anyway, it's not my fault. This guy took the jade that Grandpa gave me and refused to give it back. Li Xiqing's face darkened. Grandma went away and looked away. If I knew he was so shameless, I wouldn't have worn it. Li Xiqing wanted to strangle him. He had been eyeing the blood jade for a long time. Grandpa was unwilling to give it to him, but it was given to Li Jinnan. This guy actually lost it. Seeing Li Xiqing's unkind face, Li Jinnan felt even more guilty. "I'll count to 3. If you don't want to play, then leave. I don't have time to watch you brothers fight." Lao Jin waved his hand. 3, 2, 1. "I'll bet with you." Li Xiqing sat down. "What do you want to play?" "Great." Lao Jin smiled and sat down across from him. 5-card stud. In the beginning, Su Chenxi bet 500 yuan at a time. However, every time she bet, she could win it back. Therefore, the bet became bigger and bigger. In the end, Su Chenxi had bet 100,000 yuan. Many people stared at the pile of chips in front of Su Chenxi, dazed. After playing for more than 2 hours, she had not lost even once. Feeling a bit bored, she sighed. "Can't you let me lose once?" Someone next to her glared at her and said unkindly, "Young man, you will be easily beaten like this. I'm telling you." Su Chenxi smiled and put away all the chips, turning around to play baccarat again. When she first came to baccarat, she took a small basket. However, after a dozen rounds, she changed the small basket to a big one, which was a bit too heavy to play. Many people stared at her. Feeling a bit creeped out, Su Chenxi took the big basket and went to play something else. A short man came up, stared at the chips in Su Chenxi's basket and said, "Little girl, you're lucky. What do you want to play next?" "I'm not playing anymore. I'm going to find my husband." Su Chenxi did not want to talk to him at all. She had a strong feeling that he was a liar. However, the short man did not give up and kept talking to her. "Do you want to try 5-card stud? It's fun. Come here." "I won't. Let me teach you. Come here, don't be afraid." "But I don't know how." She stopped and was a bit impatient. "Go find someone else to play." "I don't like that. How about playing Pai Gao?" "No." "Then you should know how to roll dice, right?" She gave him a strange look and called Li Xicheng. When that person saw this, his expression changed. "If you don't want to play, then don't play. Why did you call me pretentious?" Su Chenxi was furious and said, "Damn idiot." That person was also angry. "Why are you still scolding people? Where's your manners?" The call was connected, and Su Chenxi was furious. "You scolded me first. Where are your manners?" Li Xicheng heard it clearly on the phone. He asked in a low voice, "What's going on?" "Hubby, someone is pestering me and won't let me go." The man pursed his lips and left. "Where are you? I'll have Jinan pick you up." Li Xicheng's voice was a bit deep. Chapter 426. Su Chenxi nodded. Her bad mood was immediately lifted. "Yes, I haven't lost a single game tonight." "Then don't you know how to exchange these small chips for large chips? It's easy to be targeted if you carry so many." As he spoke, he had already taken the basket and brought her into the private room. It had to be said that Lao Jin was indeed capable of making a fortune through gambling. In just 3 hours, Li Xicheng had lost more than 20 million. It was already 10 p.m., and he had to take Su Chenxi back to bed. Li Xicheng was a bit restless. He was at the table, but his heart had flown out. Seeing Su Chenxi come in, Li Xicheng finally calmed down a bit and waved at her. "Come here." Su Chenxi came over, saw the chips on the table, and then looked at the chips in her basket, which probably added up to less than 5 million. She asked, "What are you playing? It seems like it's a big game." 5-card stud. "Do you know how to play?" Li Xicheng took her hand and calmed down. "Yes." Su Chenxi rubbed her hands, looking pleasantly surprised. "You play for me." Li Xicheng stood up and pressed her down. Li Xicheng's luck was not good, really bad. "Hey!" Lao Jin was not happy. "Is it appropriate for you to play with a woman?" "It's my money. Why do you care?" Li Xicheng glanced at him coldly. Lao Jin arched an eyebrow and spread out his hands. "No problem. Since a woman is playing, I have to be a gentleman. In the next game, no matter what the cards are, I will let you speak first." "Oh, okay." Su Chenxi put her hand on the table and slapped her fingers excitedly. "Let's play." Lao Jin looked at Su Chenxi and felt she was like a child. Li Xicheng was such a mature man, but why did his wife look so young? However, Lao Jin was not a gossipy person. He waved his hand, and the dealer next to him had opened a new deck and sent out the cards one by one. Su Chenxi had an 8 of hearts, and Lao Jin had a king of spades. Her cards were more than a little small. The woman looked at her hand and said, "You said it. I spoke first, so I'll raise 500,000 first." The subordinates behind Lao Jin laughed. Lao Jin laughed the happiest and said, "You may not know the rules. Every time you raise, you must raise at least 1 million.
Oh, 5 million then.
The smile on Lao Jin's face disappeared and he subconsciously looked at her expression. Su Qianxi still had a smile on her face, as if nothing had changed. Old Jean looked at his trump card.
Follow.
Then the dealer dealt the cards again. Su Qianxi added more and more chips each time. In the end, the chips on the table were piled high, and both sides had bet 30 million. Su Qianxi's cards were 8, 9, 10, and J, a flush. Lao Jin's cards were 3 kings and a queen of diamonds. With a smile she looked up and asked, "Honey, how many chips do we have left?" From the beginning to the end, Li Xiqing did not look at her hand. Hearing this, his eyes softened and he said, "I still have more than 20 million. Oh, can I buy all of them?" "Of course." Li Jinan was overjoyed. "Sister-in-law, is it a straight flush?" "That's awesome." Su Qianxi waved her hand. "I was just lucky. Then I will buy all of them. What about you, Mr. Jean?" Lao Jin's expression changed. Seeing the proud smile on Su Qianxi's face, he began to calculate. Chapter 427. However, the chance of a straight flush was too low. Was this woman really that lucky? Old Jean was a little bewildered, but he stared at the woman who was smiling brightly. After a while, he closed all the cards and said with certainty, "I'm not calling." Su Qianxi suddenly laughed and took Li Xiqing's hand. "Mr. Li, he's not calling." Then she revealed her card, which was an ace of spades. When such a card was thrown out, everyone's eyes widened in shock. Li Xiqing looked at the card for a while and chuckled. Lao Jin suddenly stood up from his chair and slammed the table. "Are you *king kidding me?" Su Qianxi blinked and laughed. "That's so funny. It's just a game of cards. Why are you so angry? You know, this is a casino. You're stupid, and you're blaming me?" Li Jinan could not help laughing and gave her a thumbs up. "You're amazing, my sister-in-law. You won back all my brother's losses in one game." Su Qianxi heard that and looked up at Li Xiqing. "How much did you lose?" "More than 2,000. Li Xiqing rubbed her head. "Shall we continue?" "Of course." Su Qianxi did not dare to say anything else, but once she was in a casino, her luck was always very good. "Shall we continue, Mr. Jean?" Lao Jean snorted. "Continue." However, after a few rounds, old Jean lost miserably. What made him even angrier was that he had been tricked by Su Qianxi in the same way. After a while, Su Qianxi had won more than 50 million. Including what Li Xiqing had lost at the beginning, she had more than 20 million left. However, it was not enough. Li Jinan had just told her what had happened, which made her a bit angry. She puffed up her cheeks and continued. 36 million. "Mr. Jean, are you in or not?" Su Qianxi smiled and looked at him calmly, tapping on the table with her fingers. That look and that expression were exactly the same as Li Xiqing's. Li Jinan saw it, and so did Li Xiqing. Curling his lips in satisfaction, he looked at the hesitant Lao Jin. Old Jin's reputation was not small at all. There were 4 A's, but Su Qianxi was not scared at all. What made Lao Jin even more confused was that Su Qianxi's hand was a flush. K, Q, J, 9. All of them were spades. If the woman's trump card was the 10 of spades, she would win if she managed to put the deck into a straight flush. But as long as that card wasn't the 10 of spades, she would definitely lose. Seeing her proud expression, Lao Jin's forehead was covered with sweat. It had been a few times, and he had been deceived by her well-endowed appearance. He was able to beat Li Xiqing by so much just now because Li Xiqing was unlucky. Coupled with some psychological tactics, Li Xiqing lost badly. However, this woman was not only lucky, but her luck was also heaven-defying. She was even good at psychological warfare. What to do? "Boss, don't be fooled again. This woman is too despicable." Lao Jin thought so too. However, what if? Seeing his hesitation, Su Qianxi said impatiently, "I'm so sleepy. Are we playing or not? If not, I'm going home." Lao Jin was frustrated. It was the first time in his life that he had been despised by a little girl. If people knew about it, they would laugh their heads off. After hesitating for a long time, he finally pushed his chips forward. "I'm in. I don't believe you really have a straight flush. It was the last game, and the winner would be decided in one game. Su Qianxi glanced at him and said, Are you sure? Don't regret it. Chapter 428. Su Qianxi looked at him sympathetically and revealed her card. Li Jinan almost jumped up. Even Li Xiqing couldn't help but grin, rub her hair and whisper, Well done. Lao Jin stood up and looked at her card. When he saw the 10 spades on it, he became short of breath and angry. F***CK. He sat back in his chair, his chest heaving up and down. He waved his hand in defiance.
Again.
I'm done.
Su Qianxi yawned and leaned back in the chair.
I'm so sleepy. Give it back to us, and we will go home to sleep.
You want to leave after winning the money?
Lao Jin's face darkened.
Su Qianxi heard that and retorted, If you don't leave after winning the money, do you want to leave after losing the money?
Look at the time now.
If you don't sleep, others will have to.
Besides, I am pregnant now.
If the baby in my belly does not get enough sleep, can you be responsible?
How can you be so shameless? You said you would return the money after winning. Are you trying to be shameless now?
Seeing her like this, Li Xiqing seemed to see the unruly and capricious Su Qianxi when they were not married. However, she used to be like this to her own people. Now it felt quite good.
Lao Jin was speechless after hearing her words.
Li Jinan stared at him coldly. He put his hand into his leather coat and took out a cold black metal. He gently rubbed it and warned, I'm also doing a good deal with you. Don't force me.
Lao Jin's men saw this and became worried.
They whispered, What should we do?
Do we really have to give the jade back to them?
Seeing the gun, Lao Jin's face darkened.
I said I won't give it back. What do you mean?
Then give it back.
Cut the crap. Li Jinan reached out and looked unfriendly.
Lao Jin took a deep breath, stretched out his hand, and took the blood jade from behind the fur coat, and threw it in Li Jinan's direction. Shocked, Li Jinan quickly caught it and checked it carefully. Seeing that it was intact, he let out a sigh of relief.
Let's go, Li Xiqing whispered.
Li Jinan nodded. Walk in front with sister-in-law.
Is he afraid of a surprise attack?
Old Jean scoffed in disdain. I'm not that despicable.
Li Jinan chuckled and said, Are you thinking too much? I just want to stay and take the rest of the money. Don't you want 50 million?
Quickly count 50 million, and the rest is ours. Old Jin's expression became even more unsightly. He gave the order, and his subordinate stepped forward.
She yawned and checked the time.
It was almost 11 p.m. No wonder she was so sleepy. He took her downstairs and asked the doorman to fetch the car and park it at the door. However, the two of them waited in the car for 10 minutes, and there was no sign of him coming down. Su Qianxi was a little worried and said, Go and have a look.
Why hasn't Uncle come down yet?
Okay, wait for me in the car. He kissed her on the cheek, opened the door and walked out. After a few minutes, Su Qianxi could not sit still anymore. She knew that Lao Jin was not a good guy. What if something happened to him? She picked up the phone and called Li Xiqing, only to find that his cell phone had been turned off. It was probably out of battery, and she did not save Li Jinan's number. Chapter 429. As soon as she stepped on the steps, she heard a shout inside. A figure ran out like a fly, wearing a cap on his head and a big mask on his face, only revealing a pair of eyes. When the figure saw Su Qianxi, he paused for a moment, but then quickly ran forward. However, things did not go as he wished. Before he ran 2 steps, he saw people surrounding him. There were about 7 or 8 men in casual clothes, holding guns in their hands, shouting, "Don't move, police!" The man took a step back, but he was surrounded by plainclothes policemen all around him. The people at the door fled in all directions, for fear of being involved. Su Qianxi was no exception. However, among the people around him, he was the closest to him. Before he could run out, he heard the sound of wind behind him. His hand was grabbed, and he was pulled over. Su Qianxi screamed, her voice sharp and frightened. "Don't touch me. Let go." A sharp fruit knife was in front of her. Su Qianxi was grabbed by the neck, and her first reaction was to struggle. "Don't move." The voice was muffled because of the mask, and it sounded like he was panting after running. However, somehow, Su Qianxi felt that it was somewhat familiar. "The knife has no eyes. Cooperate with me, and I will not hurt you." The voice was very low, and only the two of them could hear it. Su Qianxi behaved, but her heart still couldn't help racing. Biting her lower lip, Su Qianxi felt that her body was trembling with fear. "Get out of here. If you don't come over, I will die with her," the man roared. Li Xiqing and Li Jinnan came out from inside and heard the movement here. Li Xiqing suddenly had a bad feeling and strode forward. Seeing his wife being held, he was so scared that his heart almost stopped. His face slightly pale, he took a step forward, but his voice was unusually calm. "Don't be impulsive. She is my wife. I am Li Xiqing. You should know me." The gangster glanced at Li Xiqing, and his eyes fell on Li Jinnan behind him. Without saying anything, he tightened his grip on Su Qianxi, took a step back and shouted, "Ask them to go away and let me go. Otherwise, I can't guarantee what I will do." Li Xiqing's face was a little pale, and even his breathing was a little disordered. However, his eyes were terrifyingly calm. He said, "Okay, listen. She is pregnant now and can't take any risks. If anything happens to her or the child, I, Li Xiqing, definitely have the ability to take your life." The gangster sneered. "Of course I believe you. Who doesn't know Li Xiqing? But I'm not the one holding your wife hostage. It's the police. Get them out of the way." "Did you hear that? Get out of the way," Li Xiqing growled. "Let him go. Get out of the way," a leading officer shouted. "We must ensure the safety of the hostages." Those policemen had already silently retreated. One of the policewomen somewhat unwillingly clenched her teeth. "This guy has already gone to the SI to trade drugs more than once or twice. With great difficulty, we finally caught him with the goods." However, before she finished speaking, she saw Li Xiqing's sharp and dangerous look, and all her words were swallowed. Chapter 430. Don't come over, or I will kill her. The voice was extremely dull, and she could hear that he was speaking in a low voice. However, when he spoke, Su Qianxi still felt very familiar. This voice, she must have heard it somewhere before. However, she did not speak again. The fear in her heart did not lessen because he was very likely to be someone she knew. Being held by the fruit knife, Su Qianxi walked out of the light of Star City. It was getting darker and darker, and there was a dark path behind her. A group of police officers, Li Xiqing, and the others followed at least 60 or 70 meters away. Suddenly, a car light was cast straight at them from behind. The beautiful sound of the sports car engine was very eye-catching, and everyone's eyes were attracted to the car. Su Qianxi clearly noticed that the body of the gangster was a little relaxed. Then, when the car reached them, Su Qianxi clearly heard the sound of the door opening and a deliberately suppressed female voice came. "Get in!" Familiar. Before Su Qianxi could think of who it was, she was released by the gangster. Looking back, the gangster holding her had already gotten in the car. The beautiful sports car had very special graffiti and dye on the body, looking like a string of totems. Driving such a special car, was he deliberately trying to distract the police? Looking at the license plate of the car, she found that the license plate had long been covered, and nothing could be seen. The group of police ran as fast as they could, but how could they compete with the speed of the sports car? "He escaped again," the policewoman unwillingly roared. Li Xiqing immediately came up to check on Su Qianxi. Holding her face in his hands, he whispered, "Are you okay?" Su Qianxi clearly felt that his hand was slightly trembling. She grabbed his hand and put her other hand around his neck, whispering, "I'm fine. Don't be afraid." Li Xiqing breathed a sigh of relief, but then he laughed out loud. Why did the roles suddenly change? Bending down, he picked her up and walked to the car. Li Jinnan drove over, ready to chase after the gangster at any time. However, seeing the scene of Li Xiqing carrying her, he finally breathed a sigh of relief and unlocked the car. He gently put her in and asked in a low voice, "Do you feel uncomfortable?" "No, but..." Su Qianxi thought for a moment and said, "I feel that their voices are a bit familiar. The men and women are familiar, as if I have heard them somewhere before." Li Xiqing's eyes lit up. "Very likely to be an acquaintance?" "Not necessarily, but I've definitely heard their voices before. So, when I heard the man say that he wouldn't touch me, I felt less afraid.
You're so brave.
He gave her a thumbs up.
Can you confirm who they are?
I don't know.
Li Xiqing also got into the car, closed the door, and said, no matter who it is, don't get too close to this kind of person. It's a felony to sell drugs. Okay, got it.
She leaned in his arms and closed her eyes, feeling sleepy.
I'm so sleepy. I'm going to sleep. Li Xiqing straightened up so that she could lean on his knees.
His hand stroked her hair, and his heart, which had been on tenterhooks for a long time, immediately calmed down.
At the same time, he was also filled with lingering fear. Fortunately, she was fine. Chapter 431. At home, the TV was playing the Spring Festival Gala. Qin Shuhua, Li Xiao, Li Beixing, and Captain Li were sitting at the mahjong table. Seeing Li Xiqing carrying Su Chenxi in, they all looked over.
Shoo!
Li Xiqing glanced at them and took Su Chenxi back to the room. Captain Li looked at the time. It was already past 11 p.m.
He snorted unhappily and glared at Li Jinnan.
Where did you go? I went to play. Sa took me there.
Li Jinnan spread out his hands.
You know, I always listen to him.
No, it was Uncle who took us there, a voice came.
Su Chenxi had come out again, yawning. Brother-in-law, you are too cunning, Su Chenxi said. Being exposed so rudely, Li Jinnan felt his forehead. Seeing Captain Li's eyes, he immediately bowed his head and said, Grandpa, I was wrong. The old man groaned and reached out to touch the tiles. He pushed the tiles away happily and shouted, touch yourself, ha ha ha. Oh, Grandpa is so lucky. Although Li Beixing said so, he had already taken out the money and handed it over. Grandpa took the money one by one, smiling proudly. Coincidentally, the Spring Festival Gala was counting down on the TV. Grandpa pushed the tile forward and shouted, come on, where is Xiqing? Jinnan, Beixing, go and set off the firecrackers. It's 12 p.m. Li Beixing was speechless. Grandpa, firecrackers have long been banned in Kingstown. Have you forgotten?
Captain Li was dazed for a moment, and then looked unhappy.
What kind of stupid rule is this? No firecrackers on New Year's Day? What kind of atmosphere is that? Watch TV and go to sleep if you are sleepy, Grandpa. Li Xiqing walked out and stood next to Su Chenxi, looking at his watch. It's 0:02. Grandpa, aren't you sleepy? Don't you usually go to bed after 9 p.m.?
I'm waiting for you. Old Master Shen glared at them.
Wouldn't it be great for the whole family to stay together for New Year's Eve? It's fine if you two like to play around, but you even brought my little great-grandson along. How can I sleep in peace if I don't see you two coming back? Su Chenxi was a bit embarrassed and reminded him, not yet, Grandpa. Soon. Isn't it only 8 more months? No, I have to think of a good name for my little great-grandson.
While speaking, Grandpa had already slowly returned to the room with the help of his walking stick.
Good night, Grandpa, Li Xiqing said. The only response he got was the sound of his grandfather closing the door. The next day was New Year's Day. According to the customs, they were not allowed to wash things, call people's names from afar, or wake them up. As a result, Su Chenxi did not wake up until 10 p.m. He was long gone. She rubbed her eyes and washed up. When she went out, he just came back. Seeing her coming out of the bathroom, his first reaction was to look at her feet. Fortunately, he was wearing shoes. Why don't you sleep a little longer? Walking in, he opened the closet, found a winter dress, and handed it to her. Su Chenxi took it. Do you think I'm a pig? Can I sleep so much? Taking off the top of her coral velvet pajamas, she picked up her underwear and buttoned it up. Li Xiqing was dazzled by her white body. He tried to look away, but he still overestimated his willpower. Helplessly, Li Xiqing tilted his head and said, I find that you are becoming more and more open. Chapter 432. Li Xiqing picked up the winter dress and put it on her, whispering, You used to be shy when I looked at you, but now you can change in front of me. Raise your hand. Su Chenxi heard that and blushed, but she still raised her hand and said with a smile, We are an old couple now. No need to be shy. Li Xiqing fixed her clothes and reached behind her to pull the zipper.
Hearing the words old couple, he couldn't help smiling. Su Chenxi fixed the dress and put on a pair of tights. However, halfway through, she found that Li Xiqing was looking at her passionately. She couldn't help blushing again. Picking up the pajamas she had just taken off, she threw them at him and said angrily, "Don't look! You just said we are an old couple, and now you are turning against me." Li Xiqing pinched her nose. "You change so fast." Su Chenxi looked away and ignored him. After putting on the pants and the jacket, Li Xiqing took her hand and said, "Mom is waiting to take my new daughter-in-law to pay a New Year's visit. Let's go." Qin Shuhua was sitting in the living room, talking and laughing with Li Xiao and Li Beixing. Li Jinan had not gotten up yet. Seeing Su Chenxi coming out, he immediately stood up and said, "Su Chenxi, come. Mom will take you to meet people." He said he was going to meet people, and he really meant it. After walking around the yard, they met all the ants and got dozens of red envelopes. Later, Li Xiqing took them to some relatives' homes to visit. After a whole day, Su Chenxi was fed all kinds of snacks and tea. She did not have a meal all day, and when she got home, she was exhausted. After a good night's sleep, Su Chenxi was woken up by Li Xiqing the next day. On the second day of the new year, Su Chenxi was supposed to go back to her parents' home. Of course it was the Su family. They had not even called each other for the whole year, and now she was going to their home to chat on New Year's Eve. Su Chenxi felt bored. She told Li Xiqing about it, and he glanced at her and said, "Then I won't go." "Huh. I don't think that's a good idea, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Let them know. You have a second family anyway." He kissed her. "Let's go to Dan City today." She felt so happy. She nodded with a smile and put her arms around his neck. "Okay." Seeing her so happy, Li Xiqing whispered, "Kiss me." "No. Then I'll kiss you." With that said, he sealed her lips and penetrated her from shallow to deep. She subconsciously closed her eyes and let him kiss her. She just tightened her arms around his neck. He called the Su family to tell them that he would not be going and drove to Dan City with Su Chenxi. Originally, Su Chenxi did not have morning sickness, nor did she get carsick. However, in the car, she vomited 3 or 4 times in 3 hours. They finally arrived at the Dan City, but there were many streets and alleys there. The route was a little complicated. It took Li Xiqing a long time to find the place Song Yifan had given him. However, the road was too narrow, and the car could not get in. Li Xiqing had to find an underground parking lot and park the car before he went to his father-in-law's home with his wife. Chapter 433. When Rong Rue saw them, he was also slightly surprised and went up to say hello. "What are you doing here?" Su Chenxi glanced at the gift boxes and gifts that Rong Rue was carrying and joked, "Looking for Chengyu?" Chengyu was also from Dan City. Su Chenxi knew that, and so did Li Xiqing. Seeing the pile of things in his hands, he knew that even if Su Chenxi was not right, it would not be far from the truth. Li Xiqing raised an eyebrow, looked around and asked, "Does Chengyu live nearby?" Rong Rue blushed and coughed. "Who said I was looking for her? I just came to visit relatives. Bye." Rong Rue walked a little fast. Su Chenxi watched him leave and couldn't help but think of her previous lifetime. It seemed that when Rong Rue pursued Chengyu in her previous lifetime, he was very crazy. Mr. Chang and Mrs. Chang squatted in front of their daughter's door and knocked hard. Mrs. Chang began to yell, "Hey, look at Xiao Yang's daughter next door. She found a boyfriend at the age of 22, and now she is married and has a child at the age of 24. Your daughter is already a 26-year-old virgin. Why are you not worried at all?" Cheng Yu's father had always been disdainful of such senseless activities. However, when Cheng Yu's mother threatened to deduct half a month's salary and give half a month's bonus, he shamelessly joined the marriage team. Hearing what his wife said, Mr. Cheng looked triumphant and said, "I can't help it. I'm just like me. I'm good-looking and willful." Mrs. Cheng glared at him and continued to yell, "You are so good-looking, but you don't find me a boyfriend. You have to make Mom and Dad worry about your marriage. You are so unfilial." When Mr. Cheng was thinking about how to respond, the doorbell suddenly rang. His eyes lit up and he immediately got up. "I'll go open the door." Of course, Mrs. Cheng could tell what he was thinking. She threw him a contemptuous look and continued to yell. When Mr. Cheng opened the door, he saw a clean and handsome young man. He felt refreshed, but when he saw all kinds of expensive gifts in his hands, he instantly felt bored and asked, "Is this a promotion?" Rong Rui smiled, looking kind and gentle. He said, "No, uncle. I'm here for Yu. When Mr. Chung heard that word, he felt like he had gone deaf. He asked, "What did you say? Who are you looking for?" "Cheng Yu." Chang Yu's father looked like he had seen a ghost and shouted, "Mom, someone is looking for Cheng Yu. He's a handsome young man." As soon as Mrs. Chung heard the words, "handsome boy," she immediately jumped up from the ground and looked at Rong Rui. Overjoyed, she said, "Really? Are you really here for our daughter? Come in and have a seat." Mrs. Chang ran to Cheng Yu's room and knocked on the door, shouting, Yu, someone is looking for you. Get up, get up." After being busy for a whole year, Cheng Yu was finally able to take a break and have a good sleep, but she was woken up by her mother and father. With her messy hair and wrinkled pajamas, she opened the door and yelled, "So noisy, can't you let me have a good sleep?" Rong Rui was holding the gifts in both hands. Seeing Cheng Yu like this, his calm face cracked. Seeing him, Cheng Yu was stunned. Rong Rui raised his eyebrows at her, and his voice was calm and gentle. He said, "I'm here to see my parents." Cheng Yu's eyes widened, and then she looked down at her dress. She immediately shrank back and slammed the door. Death. Chapter 434. She widened her eyes, then looked down at her outfit, and immediately shrank back, slamming the door. As soon as she closed the door, she immediately rushed into the bathroom. Seeing her own image, she wanted to hit the wall. What should she do if she was seen? This bird's nest hair, these dark circles, this pale face, this sob, so embarrassing. Why did this guy come at this time? Didn't he want to celebrate the new year? Wait, meet parents? What? This guy said see. Father. Mother. What the hell? Cheng Yu's heart beat faster, and her face immediately became hot. She quickly began to freshen up, combed her short hair, and then picked out a nice dress from the wardrobe, put it on, and put on a pair of jeans. However, after putting it on, she thought that wearing jeans would make her look very unfeminine. She stared at the mirror for a few seconds before taking off her pants again. She put on the dress that Cheng Yu's mother repeatedly praised as elegant and generous. Walking to the mirror, she saw the latest Chanel perfume that Cheng Yu's mother bought for her. The more she prepared, the faster her heart beat. She put her hand on the doorknob, and when she was about to open the door, she felt strange. Strange, why did she care so much? She didn't care about this guy? Damn. Annoyed, she opened the door and walked out. Cheng Yu's mother happened to be serving tea to Rong Rui. She didn't know what she was talking about, but she was smiling like a chrysanthemum. Seeing Cheng Yu coming out, Cheng Yu's mother's eyes lit up. Rong Rui looked over, and his calm eyes also had some fluctuations. However, Cheng Yu did not want them to appreciate her beauty. She directly went forward, pulled Rong Rui up and said, "Let's go." Rong Rui stood up and was pushed out of the sofa area. She picked up the 7 or 8 high-end gift boxes and pushed him toward the door. Cheng Yu's mother was shocked and shouted, Yu, what are you doing? Rong Rui is a guest. You are too rude." Cheng Yu's father echoed, "That's right." She didn't care, opened the door and pushed him out. However, Rong Rui's eyes darkened, and his footsteps stopped. No matter how she pushed, he wouldn't move. Cheng Yu blushed and could not push him out. She said angrily, "Mr. Rong, I'm sorry, but you are not welcome here." Rong Rui looked at her in confusion. "Did I do something wrong?" "You're not wrong. It's just that you're ugly. I don't want you to stain the air in my house." "Ayo, how is it ugly?" Mama Cheng immediately ran over. "What a handsome and sensible young man. Don't bother about her. Come and have a seat." Cheng Yu was furious. "Mom, you don't know his true colors. This person is very bad." "How did it go bad? Tell me." Mrs. Chung was unconvinced. "Lil Rui is such a good child. Why do you have to defame him like this? He's a big bad wolf. He's pretending, and he's really good at pretending. Let me tell you, don't beat him up." Chapter 435. A smile flashed across Rong Rui's eyes. He held her hand, took down all the things she was carrying and put them on the ground. Then he turned around and pulled her out. Seeing this, Mrs. Cheng immediately turned to look at Mr. Cheng and whispered, "Do you think your daughter likes this guy?" Mr. Cheng had a look that said, "You're talking nonsense," and said, "Otherwise, have you ever seen our daughter treat anyone like this?" "Oh, there's hope." Cheng Yu's mother was overjoyed. "I'll go prepare some good dishes to entertain our future son-in-law." When Papa Cheng saw this, he pursed his lips and muttered, "Things haven't even started yet." She was pulled out by him and quickly went downstairs. She wanted to pull her hand back, but he was so strong that she could not compete with him at all. He tugged hard, but found that he couldn't take it back at all. "Let go." She sounded a little annoyed. Rong Rui acted as if he didn't hear her. He stopped an empty taxi and dragged her into it. To Yijing Bay. Hearing the name of the place, she was dazed, then looked at him angrily, grabbed his hand hard and roared, "Let go of me. Why are you taking me there? Aren't we going to talk? I only know that place. I don't know anything else." Rong Rui's voice was unusually calm. Seeing the strange look in the driver's eyes, Rong Rui continued, "Besides, it's not like you haven't been there before. Didn't you enjoy it last time?" The driver finally turned around and continued to drive. She became angry and struggled with her hands and feet, yelling, "Get out of here, don't touch me, beast!" "Young man, the girl doesn't want to. You're going too far," the driver said kindly. Rong Rui glanced at the driver and said, "I'm just going to have a meal and apologize. I don't want to do anything. She thinks too much." She finally calmed down. Looking at her hand that was in pain, she stopped. The driver pursed his lips, but he didn't say anything. They soon arrived. He paid the fare and took her away. Yijing Bay was the only 5-star hotel in Dan City. Last time, Rong Rui had rested here. At that time, when she picked him up and let him stay here, he asked, "Have you ever had a boyfriend?" She shook her head. "Then what do you think of me?" Cheng Yu retreated with a red face. She did not know why, but she was taken to the bed in a daze. That was her first time, and it hurt so much that tears came out of her eyes. Afterwards, he smoked a cigarette and said with a serious face, "Don't worry, I will take responsibility." In fact, Cheng Yu did not want him to be responsible for anything. Last time, when Tang Menjing gave birth in the hospital, she simply wanted to ask him about the video. Who knew, he said that later, and Cheng Yu had been holding a grudge until now. He said, I will take responsibility, you don't have to worry." Hee. Until she entered the elevator, her mind was in a mess. Looking at the elevator going up, the bright 13th floor made her shocked. She immediately reached out and pressed a random button, shouting, "Rong Rui." He glanced at her and pressed the number 8 until the light above disappeared. The elevator went directly to the 13th floor, and she was dragged to 1318. It was the same room as last time. She resisted, but he held her hand and quickly entered the room. After that, she cried even more fiercely, crying out loud. Rubbing his forehead helplessly, Rong Rui got up and stuffed a tissue into her face, growling, "Shut up!" Chapter 437. Let's go. Rong Rui waved his hand impatiently. She was a bit confused. What did this man mean? Seeing her confused face, Rong Rui growled, "Get out of here!" Only then did she react. She scrambled to her feet, opened the door and ran out. However, when she got out of the door, she found that it seemed that she did not bring any money when she went out. Did she have to walk back? Although it had only taken her 10 minutes to get here by taxi, it would definitely double the time if she walked back. She hesitated in the hallway, but did not go back to Rong Rui for money. She walked down the hallway. When she got home, it was already half an hour later. She looked in the mirror in the hallway and found that her chin was a bit pale, but as long as she did not look up, she should not be able to see it. Adjusting her posture, she rang the doorbell. However, when the door was opened, she saw the face that she just swore she would never see again. Seeing her, Rong Rui smiled and said, "Dad, Mom, Yu is back." Hearing what he called her, she was petrified. Su Chenxi and Li Xiqing still did not find where Song Yifan's home was. Helplessly, she picked up her phone and asked him to pick her up. When Song Yifan picked them up, it was already 10 minutes later. Song Yifan's home was not a big house, and the furnishings and decorations inside were a bit old-fashioned. Different from the old house, the Song house was relatively simple. As soon as they entered the door, they saw the living room, where the ancestors were enshrined, the god of fortune, and all kinds of pottery statues of the goddess of mercy. The smell of incense was a bit strong. In the living room, there was a mahogany bench, and the whole set of wooden furniture looked a bit old. An old woman was sitting on it, with shoulder-length white hair. She looked about 60 or 70 years old, wearing a gold ring and gold bracelet on her hand, and a gold necklace around her neck with an ice-green longevity rui. She was wearing a dark qipao, and her eyes were a bit white. Noticing their arrival, she turned her head and was overjoyed. "You're back?" The old woman was about to stand up and walk over. Song Yifan walked up, helped her sit down and said, "Mom, please sit down." Su Chenxi walked in with Li Xiqing and greeted, "Grandma." The old man was overjoyed. Looking up at Su Chenxi, his smile froze. "This is..." She blinked and looked at Song Yifan. "Wait a minute." The old man seemed to have thought of something. He immediately stood up and walked into the house. Not long after, he walked out with a photo frame in his hand. Looking at the photo frame and then at Su Chenxi, the old man looked sad and said with red eyes, "Xian, are you Xian?" "Grandma, I'm not. After so many years, you really haven't changed at all. But how could you bear to leave my son? Do you know how Yifan has been living all these years?" The old woman's voice was a bit choked, and she looked at Li Xiqing. "Who is this?" Song Yifan hurried over and said, "Mom, you've got the wrong person. This is my daughter, Su Chenxi. She is the one I told you about. This is her husband, Li Xiqing." Chapter 438. Song Yifan pursed his lips and looked at Su Chenxi. Yes, she must be Rong Xian's daughter. If she was not her daughter, then how could there be two people in the world who looked exactly the same and were of the same age? However, so what? It had nothing to do with him at all. Su Chenxi was Su Chenxi, and Song Yifan was Song Yifan. Although she called him dad, they both clearly knew that they were not related by blood. Rong Xian's child was not his child. Song Yifan felt a bit sad, but at this moment, he comforted his mother and said, "Maybe. Mom, sit down." Hearing her son's words, Song Yifan sat down with the help of his mother. Looking at Su Chenxi, she handed the photo to her. Su Chenxi took the photo. It was a group photo of the four of them. The old lady was sitting on the chair, and behind her stood a girl with a beautiful smile and a beautiful floral hat. On the left was the young Song Yifan, and on the right was the young Shang Ximing. They were only about 20 years old. It turned out that they used to be like this. Su Chenxi looked at the photo of Rong Xian in the middle and subconsciously associated her with the cold and lonely woman she saw that night. Were they really the same person? Back then, Xian fainted in the back mountain, and it was Yifan who saved her. Granny Song's thoughts gradually drifted away. Her voice was old and long. At that time she was only 18 years old. She was white and clean and delicate. Su Chenxi was sitting on the chair. Hearing what Song Yifan said, she subconsciously held Li Xiqing's hand. Li Xiqing gently put his hand on her shoulder and did not say anything. At that time, Dan City was not called Dan City. It was called Donxin Town. At that time, our family was poor, and Yifan's father did not agree to have a little girl come to eat with us. Later, Yifan begged him to let her stay. At that time, she told us that her name was Rong Xian. She had a sweet voice and was very pretty. When she smiled, she had 2 dimples. She said that she had no parents, only a brother who had died. Their hometown was plagued by a plague, so she escaped. The little girl was very diligent. She did housework for me every day. I wasn't in good health at that time. With Ah Xian's care, my condition got better day by day. Gradually, the old man accepted her. Later, she got together with Yifan. His father and I were so happy. Then she paused, looked at Su Chenxi, and asked, "Xian, why did you disappear at that time? Do you know that Yifan is going crazy looking for you?" A pair of old eyes turned white, and tears welled up in them. They were filled with accusation and blame. Su Qianxi shrank back uncomfortably and said, "Grandma, I am Su Qianxi." "Mom, she is Qianxi, not Xian. Xian is dead." Song Yifan looked at Su Qianxi and explained, "Grandma is old, and her eyes are not very good. She has mild Alzheimer's disease." That was Alzheimer's disease. Chapter 439. His father was the only music teacher in the surrounding area. He knew how to play the piano, and I was also a local intellectual. I was so prestigious back then. If it wasn't for Xian, if only she had never come to our house, it would have been great. Old Lady Song's voice was filled with remorse. I raised her like a daughter for 3 years. 3 years, even a dog would know to recognize its owner and be grateful. But Xian left so decisively. She left on that day, giving us a resounding slap in the face. As she said that, she waved her hand in hatred and hammered her chest. Startled, Song Yifan quickly stopped her and yelled, "Mom!" Song Yifan burst into tears. "It hurts." That slap was like a slap to my face. Even after so many years, it still felt like it was on fire. How much did she hate me? What? She left a note and disappeared. I don't even know if she's alive or not. I hate her. Seeing her crying, Su Qianxi also felt sour. She took out a tissue and wiped the tears on Song Yifan's face. Suddenly, Song Yifan reached out and grabbed Su Qianxi's hand. Her voice was firm and determined. "Xian!" Su Qianxi was startled and shivered. Li Xiqing immediately went forward and hugged her. He reached out and tried to pry the old lady's hands away. However, Song Yifan stopped him and shook his head. Su Qianxi was a bit scared. Looking at Song Yifan, she said, "Grandma, I am Su Qianxi, not Rong Xian." "Okay." Song Yifan responded and her eyes became soft. "Say it again. I like it." "Grandma." Su Qianxi's voice was a bit timid. Old Madame Song smiled and reached out to touch her hair. "Good girl. Grandma will cook for you. Is the person behind you your boyfriend?" "He is my husband. We are married." "Oh. Married. Yifan's daughter is married. I am old." Song Yifan's voice was a bit dazed. She was about to stand up. "I'll go cook." Song Yifan stopped her and said softly, "Mom, let's go eat out. Yang is home for the new year. Let's go eat out, okay? It's such a waste of money to eat out. If your father finds out, he'll scold you to death. It's the new year. Just once, okay?" Old Lady Song looked at him and pointed at him. "You." "Let's go, Mom. I'll take you to eat." Holding the old lady, Song Yifan walked very slowly. Looking at their backs, Su Qianxi felt sad. The family had become like this because of Rong Xian. If Rong Xian had not intervened for 3 years, Song Yifan would have been married and had children, and Shang Ximing would not have had to suffer for so long. Su Qianxi had not told anyone about seeing Rong Xian some time ago, but now she wanted to say it. After lunch, Song Yifan coaxed the old lady to go to bed and then walked out of the room. She went straight to the point. "I saw Rong Xian some time ago." Song Yifan was disinfecting the toilet, holding a porcelain teacup in his hand. Hearing her words, the thin quilt fell on the table, making a crisp sound. But miraculously, nothing happened. Song Yifan felt the same way. Smiling, Song Yifan continued to do what he was doing and said, "How is that possible? She is dead." Chapter 440. Rong Haiyue. Song Yifan frowned. "I seem to have heard of that name. Quite famous, right?" "Major General," Li Xiqing said quietly. "No wonder. I have heard of that name." They both have the surname Rong, and they both happen to appear in the hospital. Could they be brother and sister? Didn't Rong Xian have a brother? Su Qianxi asked. Song Yifan shook his head. "Impossible. She lived with us for 3 years. During those 3 years, she never mentioned her brother. Occasionally, when we asked, she told us that her brother was dead. In addition, there are so many people with the surname Rong in the world. Maybe it is just a coincidence." You must be mistaken. Impossible, impossible. Su Chenxi was very sure. I also talked to her, and she told me not to call her by that name. It's disgusting. Li Xiqing glanced at her and asked, Are you sure? Yes. Li Xiqing picked up the phone and called Luo Zhan. At this time, Luo Zhan was, of course, sleeping. When she received the call from Li Xiqing, she threw the phone away impatiently. However, the caller was not going to let it go. Luo Zhan was so annoyed that he picked up the phone and was about to yell at the caller. However, seeing Li Xiqing's name, he immediately shivered and picked up the phone. Hello. Help me check Kingstown Second Hospital. When did you see her? The day she was hospitalized. No, it was the next day. Check the surveillance footage of number 15 to 16 of Kingstown Second Hospital to see if anyone who looks like your sister-in-law has been in and out of the hospital. Luo Zhan scratched his head, put on his slippers, and walked to the bathroom. Brother, it's Chinese New Year. Can't you let me rest for a while? As usual. Okay, I'll get it done right away. Li Xiqing was speechless. Rong Xian's clothes are very special. She is wearing a dark green coat and a light green cheongsam inside. She looks very elegant. Her hair is combed up, like a rich lady in the Republic of China. Did you hear that? Li Xiqing said. Okay, leave it to me. How long do you need? As soon as possible. Okay. Luo Zhan hung up the phone and washed himself. After that he began to work. He directly hacked into the hospital surveillance system and searched according to the time Li Xiqing said. Sure enough, he found a person who was face-to-face with Su Chenxi. If not for the age difference, they really looked like sisters. He immediately cut the video into a short clip and sent it over. Luo Zhan couldn't help but be amazed. In this world, were there really two people who looked so similar? When Li Xiqing received the video, it was more than an hour later. Song Yifan took them to visit some famous attractions in Dan City. There were a lot of people, so they just watched from the outside. Picking up her phone, she clicked on the video and immediately recognized it. Yes, it's her. Daddy, look. Seeing Rong Xian, Song Yifan was dazed. Song Yifan zoomed in, and zoomed in until the video was all pixelated, and then he stopped. It's her. It's really her. Even if Rong Xian's face turned into ashes, Song Yifan could still recognize her. But how could that be? Wasn't she already dead? In the mountains, after the DNA test, the forensic doctor was 100% sure that it was Rong Xian. Chapter 441. Li Xiqing made another call. Immediately, find out who this woman is, her home address, and identity information. Everything. Okay. Song Yifan was no longer in the mood to play, and Li Xiqing could see that. Coincidentally, Su Chenxi was also a little sleepy, so they went back together. Coincidentally, he met an unexpected person. Moreover, there were two of them at the same time. When Chang Yu was dragged out by her mother to go on a date with Rong Rue, she was extremely reluctant. However, Rong Rue, this black-hearted man, had drugged her parents when she was struggling to walk home. Not only had Mrs. Cheng been coaxed into submission, but even Mr. Cheng, who she had thought would be a little more resolute, had been completely bought over. Seeing Chang Yu's mother watching from afar, Chang Yu had to finish the show no matter how reluctant she was. Rong Rue took her hand and deliberately walked very slowly. Noticing her nervousness, shyness and reluctance, he was inexplicably happy. Chang Yu smiled, but the smile looked forced. Gritting her teeth, she whispered, "Asshole, hurry up and get rid of my mother." Rong Rue glanced at her and said calmly, "Your mother wants to see you have a boyfriend, and she thinks I am very suitable." "How is it suitable? My mother does not know your true colors, but I do. You are a wolf, and my mother is leading a wolf into the house. I am indeed a wolf, but my ambition is very obvious. It is you." This made Chang Yu's heart beat wildly. She subconsciously withdrew her hand, but Rong Rue's hand was clenched very tightly. His hand was a little thick and a little big. Chang Yu could clearly feel the temperature from his palm, and her face was a little hot. She looked away and said disdainfully, "I have lived for 26 years and I am not stupid." Cheng Yu's little change did not escape Rong Rue's eyes. His eyes flashed with a smile. "It doesn't matter. You can be stupid in the future.
I don't mind. Chang Yu was so angry that she stretched her leg and kicked him, yelling, "Hurry up! Are you a turtle?" "Shoo, your mother saw it." Rong Rui pointed to the place where Chang Yu's mother was and said. She turned her head and saw Mrs. Cheng's dissatisfied look. With a flattering smile, she turned her head with a bitter face. "Sir, can you walk faster? I need to pee." "Oh, that's what you said just now. It hasn't even been 10 minutes. She glared at him. "I urinate frequently and urgently. Kidney deficiency. You're not giving it to me?" Rong Rui smiled, revealing a row of neat teeth. He looked bright, but unfortunately, he was a pervert. Chang Yu was full of regret. When she looked up, she found that Su Chenxi was smiling and waving at them. Beside Su Chenxi, a tall and straight figure stood there. Seeing Chang Yu and Rong Rui standing together, he seemed to be surprised. His calm and cold face flashed a bit of playfulness. As if struck by lightning, Chang Yu's first reaction was to get rid of his hand. However, Rong Rui's grip was much more stable than she had imagined. It didn't move at all. Chapter 442. Chang Yu felt ashamed and wanted to cover her face, but she had been seen clearly. She smiled awkwardly and said hello. "Hi, boss madam. You are." She pointed at them and looked at their clenched hands, implying something. "Yes, we are together," Rong Rui said with a smile and raised his hand. "Who is with you?" "Shameless." Chang Yu was annoyed and blushed, using her other hand to push his hand away. "Let go." Rong Rui still did not move, no matter how she grabbed and scratched. Looking at Li Xiqing, he asked, "What are you doing in Dan City?" How could Li Xiqing explain to him? He just glanced at Rong Rui and did not talk to him. Instead, he looked at Chang Yu and said, "Assistant Cheng, I didn't expect you to have such a strong taste." Hearing that, Su Chenxi lowered her head and tried to hold back her laughter, reaching out and bumping Li Xiqing. Sure enough, Chang Yu's face suddenly became as red as a monkey's butt. This time, she not only used her hands but also her feet. Kicking him hard, she finally opened her mouth and bit his hand. Rong Rui frowned in pain, but he still kept a smile on his face. He said to Su Chenxi and Li Xiqing, "Excuse me. I will take her to solve a personal problem first." Chang Yu bit with all her strength. She tasted blood in her mouth, but Rong Rui did not let go. Hearing his words, Chang Yu suddenly felt a sense of crisis in her heart and was relieved. Su Chenxi saw the blood on Rong Rui's hand and felt a bit scared. Li Xiqing, on the other hand, looked at them with interest. Chang Yu's face was bitter and she shouted, "Boss! Help me!" Su Chenxi looked at Cheng Yu, pulled the corner of Li Xiqing's clothes, and said, "Cheng Yu will be okay, right? Will Rong Rui hit her?" Li Xiqing was silent for a moment, watching Chang Yu being pulled away by Rong Rui. He frowned and said quietly, "He will not hit her, but he may bite her back." "No way." Su Chenxi was shocked and a little worried. Rong Rui is so ungentlemanly. Will he also bite her hand until it bleeds? Chang Yu's hands were very beautiful, slender, long, white, and tender. If there was a scar because of this, what a pity. It won't bite. Li Xiqing curled his lips and put an arm around her waist. "Let's go. Father-in-law Song is gone. If you don't bite the hand, where should you bite? Didn't you say bite me back?" Su Chenxi was dumbfounded. "Where do I like to bite you?" "Neck." She did not hesitate, but then she blushed. "No way they develop so fast." Li Xiqing's smile widened as he tapped her nose and whispered, "What are you thinking about? Go back." She blushed and couldn't help looking back at the place where Chang Yu was taken away. Rong Rui walked very fast, and soon they were out of the scenic area and came to a wide flagstone road. On both sides of the road, there were close-ups of the local bronze statues. There were tourists coming and going, and when they saw a man forcefully dragging a woman along, many people looked over. Chang Yu's heart was pounding, and she covered her face all the way. When she looked down and saw the teeth marks on his hand, she felt guilty and stammered, You deserve it. Who told you not to let go of me?" Chapter 443. Seeing his unfriendly face, she blinked, looked away,
and looked up at the sky. It hurts. Rong Rui glanced at the bite marks on his hand. It was not a lot of blood. Along the way, the blood had dried up, but it still hurt. Oh, you deserve it. Your mom saw it when I pulled you away. She stared at him and turned to look at him. How do you know? I saw it, Rong Rui said lightly. And she saw you holding my arm. Bah! I was biting you. But after saying that, she suddenly realized that when she bit him just now, his body didn't move much. Could it be? But in your mom's eyes you were hugging me and… Rong Rui glanced at the way they came, and his lips curved. They have followed us. This alley was still some distance away from the scenic spot. Seeing that there was no one around, she looked around and did not find anyone. However, just as she looked around, a big hand suddenly reached over. Rong Rui pinched her chin, pushed her against the wall, and kissed her. Her eyes widened, and her heartbeat accelerated like crazy, as if it was about to jump out. An indescribable throbbing, from the depths of her soul that had been empty for 26 years, burst out without warning, so turbulent and surging. Rong Rui gazed at her with his amber eyes. He hooked the tip of his tongue and went straight in, capturing the soft sweetness that he had tasted once and could never forget. Chang Yuyu's mother and sister caught up to them. When they saw the two figures stacked together from afar, they were overjoyed. She clapped her hands and turned around to show off to her sister. I knew it. Our Yuyu is so pretty. How could no one want her? She didn't tell us that she had a boyfriend. Today, when this guy came to our house, I knew that Yuyu had a boyfriend. Chang Yu's mother's sister looked envious. You don't say, this guy is quite handsome. Well, of course. Look at Yuyu's face. Chang Yu's mother was proud. Let's go. Don't bother them. Let's go play too. She was furious. Her face was almost flushed with anger. She lifted her foot and kicked at his leg. But no matter how hard he tried, Rong Rui didn't understand. Her hands were bent, and she could not exert any strength at all. Instead, she was in so much pain that her eyes were filled with tears. Suddenly, she thought of a ruthless move. First, she closed her legs, and then suddenly lifted her knee. A big hand held her knee and Rong Rui pressed it against her palm. His amber eyes were slightly blurred and his voice was a little hoarse. This is yours in the future. Are you sure you want to do this? Feeling that she was being molested, she screamed and struggled hard with both hands and one foot, but his strength was so great that she couldn't move. Rong Rui seemed to enjoy this feeling very much. He whispered, Your face is so red. She was even more annoyed and wanted to bite his face. Rong Rui took a step back and avoided it. Then, he released her knee and firmly pressed her down. His breathing was slightly rapid, and his voice was hoarse and low. But damn it, she somehow felt a bit sexy. He said, You have such good stamina. Why don't we go play something exciting? First 6 minutes, same rules, then in the afternoon. Mwah! Chapter 444. What did he want to do? He wanted to take her to the hotel again? I'll stab your dead head. Cheng Yu was going crazy. This guy was a hooligan, a hooligan, a hooligan. Yet, he was so good at acting, fooling her parents. You have so many dirty thoughts all day long. Why don't you go to hell? Tang Menjing is like this now. Shouldn't you have committed suicide long ago? People like you are an eyesore. Cheng Yu was a little speechless, full of anger with nowhere to vent. She was a little angry. Hearing her words, Rong Rui got dangerously closer to her and pinched her face again. Cheng Yu clearly felt his anger, and her heart could not stop beating faster. She was a little scared. However, her pride and dignity did not allow her to bow down. She was Chang Yu, the most powerful assistant of Li Xiqing. Why should she be threatened by a nobody like Rong Rui? Staring back, she tried to calm herself down. Rong Rui looked at her for a long time before saying, I know, you came up with the idea, and the hunter told me. What idea? Chang Yu found that she had been scared by him and stuttered. She wanted to bite off her tongue, feeling very upset. The plan of the villa in Jiangzhou was planned by Li Xiqing, and you improved it. Originally, Li Xiqing really wanted to give me to those bodyguards, but you stopped him, right? Chang Yu heard the words, her pupils narrowed slightly, and her eyes became a bit evasive. She said,
I just feel sorry for you. You were blinded by that bitch Tang Menjing. In the end, you got nothing and are likely to be killed by her. That's too miserable. If those bodyguards really did something like that to me, then I'll really die. Rong Rui stroked her smooth white chin, extremely calm. No man will allow himself to be treated like this. I think it should be more unacceptable than you women being raped by a group of men. Yes, it was indeed miserable. Then the little chrysanthemum would become a sunflower. Cheng Yu felt horrified just thinking about the picture. So my life can be said to be saved by you, Rong Rui continued. Only then did she come to her senses. Her lips twitched and she said, So, you are going to marry me? Yes, in the future, whether you admit it or not, I will be yours. When Cheng Yu heard that she seemed to have the upper hand, she immediately said with a serious face, Since you know that I am your lifesaver, then you should quickly let me go now. Maybe I will let you be a bodyguard or something if I am happy. It is not right for you to treat your lifesaver like this. Very wrong. Rong Rui ignored her and said calmly, You gave me your first time. So what? Bah, it's just a layer of membrane. I don't care. Cheng Yu said with disdain. But my first time was also given to you. I cherish my virginity. Cheng Yu heard the words and was angry. Virgin membrane. I've lived for so many years, but this is the first time I've heard of a man having a hymen. Who the hell are you trying to fool? Chapter 445. Cheng Yu heard the words and spat disdainfully. Bah! What else can there be except the urethra? I didn't expect you to be so good at biology. Of course, let me go. But how did your teacher teach you? Who said that a virgin has no hymen? How about we go back to the old place and review the whole process of breaking it? Cheng Yu was so angry that she wanted to bite him. This man, his skin was thicker than the wall, and his mouth was slippery. With just a few words, he had made her feel ashamed, and he was still talking nonsense with a straight face. Bah! Being pressed by him, she simply stopped struggling and asked, You really don't want to let me go? In fact, I can let you go. How about we continue to press on in another place? Cheng Yu was about to cry and whispered, Grandpa, you are my grandpa, okay? In broad daylight, don't you know how to restrain yourself? This is my hometown, and there are too many people who know me. If I am seen, how can I live in the future? When Rong Rui heard this, he looked thoughtful and nodded. That's true. Seeing his look, she immediately nodded. You see, I am such a beautiful girl, and it is not appropriate for me to flirt with such a tall and handsome man like you. Rong Rui nodded in agreement and asked thoughtfully, If you are seen and everyone says the same thing, will you never get married in this life? Cheng Yu nodded hard. You see, we are not a first-tier city like your hometown and Kingstown. There are only so many people. If this gets out, will anyone dare to marry me? I see. Yes. Cheng Yu thought that she had finally convinced him and almost burst into tears. So, Grandpa, please let me go, huh? Okay. Rong Rui finally let her go. She finally got her freedom. Rubbing her arms, she saw that her hands were bruised, and felt unspeakably wronged. Her first reaction was to run, but Rong Rui was not so easy to fool. He directly grabbed her with his big hand and carried her back like a little chick. Didn't you say you would let me go? What are you doing? I said let you go, not let you go. Miss Cheng, do you have a bad memory? Or do you have a problem with your ears? Rong Rui looked indifferent, pulled her back, and put his big hand directly on her waist. Let's go. Don't hug me. Cheng Yu slapped his hand. Rong Rui glanced at her. If you don't want to hug me, then hug me. Then, he directly picked her up. A princess carry. She struggled hard and shouted, You are a hooligan, do you know that? Rong Rui, I will F***ck you. I am your boss. You are welcome to F***ck me, and I will never resist. He hugged her, although she was very naughty and succeeded in struggling several times. But Rong Rui was not willing to let her go. She was he. This woman was arrogant and wild. After all, he had not conquered her. Didn't he see how obedient she was in front of Li Xiqing? Rong Rui's eyes became more and more profound. After all,
He had not conquered her. Didn't he see that she was so obedient in front of him? Rong Rui was very clear, and his eyes became more and more profound. After a while, they went out of the stone road and near the scenic spot. Chapter 446. She glared at him and reached out to cover his mouth. Her face was still buried, and she gritted her teeth and growled, "Shut up!" Rong Rui's mouth was covered. Especially when he looked down and saw her pink ears, he felt inexplicably refreshed. His mouth was tightly covered. He opened his mouth slightly, stuck out the tip of his tongue, and hooked it on her palm. She froze and retracted her hands slightly. But immediately, she felt that she had fallen into a trap and covered his mouth again. Rong Rui's tongue became more and more flexible, wantonly wandering around her palm. After a while, she finally couldn't stand it anymore and retracted her hand. She wanted to strangle him. He laughed out loud and said in a low voice that only the two of them could hear, "I like to see you like this. If you are not happy, come and f*ck me." She reached out and pinched his chest fiercely. Her 2 fingers pinched very, very tightly. He gasped in pain and his face was twisted, but he still shouted, "Cheng Yu, don't touch me. It's not good to do that in public." "Shut up." She couldn't bear it anymore and struggled hard. "Bastard, let me down." "Cheng Yu." That man just called her Cheng Yu, right? Hey, that does look a bit like Cheng Yu. Look at that short hair. It turns out that Sister Cheng Yu is so open-minded. Look at that princess hug. So romantic. Cheng Yu felt so embarrassed, let go of him and growled, "Are you going to let me go or not? I will call for help. Then we will be embarrassed together." "Oh, I'll let you go." Rong Rui was unexpectedly easy to talk to and directly put her down. Cheng Yu was a little confused, but seeing the surprised eyes of her juniors not far away, she wanted to find a hole to hide in. She stretched out her foot and kicked Rong Rui. She was so angry that she ran away. Rong Rui was in pain. He frowned and took a deep breath. He turned his head and said to those juniors, throwing a tantrum again like a child. Then he chased in the direction of Cheng Yu. The eyes of the juniors were red. Ah, Cheng Yu's boyfriend is so handsome. So gentle, so spoiled. Alas, different people have different fates. She had never been so embarrassed. Since young, when had he not been pampered in the palm of his hand? Her parents were the same, her classmates were the same, and she was the same in the company. She had a high EQ, was diligent, and sensible. Since she was young, she had been surrounded by stars and was a dazzling existence. It was the first time she had encountered such a situation. How shameful, how shameful! The more she thought about it, the more she felt wronged. As she ran, she cried in a low voice. Rong Rui's legs were much longer than hers. He ran up and grabbed her hand. "Hey!" But as soon as Cheng Yu turned her face, he clearly saw her red eyes. "Don't touch me!" Cheng Yu was furious and shook his hand off. Seeing that she was crying, Rong Rui felt a little strange. He raised his hands and made a gesture of surrender. Not knowing whether to laugh or cry, he said, "It was just a joke." "Are you really angry?" Cheng Yu did not answer him, but left him and strode away. Rong Rui followed her unhurriedly. Watching her enter the public women's restroom, he immediately stopped and waited for her outside. The toilet in the scenic spot smelled very strong. Rong Rui did not know how long he stood there. It was half an hour or 40 minutes, but she did not come out. Finally, after a woman walked in, he asked her to help him find Cheng Yu. The woman looked at him strangely and said, "Young man, there is a back door in the women's restroom." Wan Lily, "Miss Cheng, how does it feel to be pursued like this?" "Cheng Yu, have you ever been bitten by a dog while walking on the road and then being licked by it?" Chapter 447. The implication was that Cheng Yu had already run away. Hearing that, Rong Rui was dazed for a moment, then smiled helplessly. This woman. Song Yifan offered to let them stay at home and take them out to play tomorrow. Li Xiqing originally did not intend to agree, but seeing Su Chenxi's tired look, his heart softened and he agreed. However, he did not stay at home. Instead, he drove to the 5-star hotel that he had just seen. Handing the car to the doorman, Li Xiqing took Su Qianxi to the hotel and booked a suite. As soon as they entered, Su Qianxi took off her shoes and socks. Without washing her face or feet, she directly lay down and fell asleep. Li Xiqing had no choice but to take off her thick clothes and put her flat on the bed. He heard that when pregnant women were more than a month pregnant, they would vomit a lot. He had not seen what other pregnant women were like, but this woman only vomited a few times on the way to Dan's city. Other times, except for being a little sleepy, she seemed to be no different from usual. It was time to eat and drink. She would eat whatever he ate, and she would not be particularly picky. After helping her, Li Xiqing went to the bathroom to take a shower. He asked the room service to send his clothes for dry cleaning and put on the hotel's sterilized silk robe. After dealing with everything and returning to the room, he found that his phone was ringing, but Su Qianxi was still unmoved and sleeping soundly. Unable to help curling his lips, Li Xiqing picked up the phone. It was Luo Zhan. "Hello, Xiqing?
Well, you found it?
Yes, I found it. This woman's surname is Yang, and her name is Yang Rongshuan. Because she is a tutor-level staff of the Capital Arts Center, it is very easy to find her. What is more interesting is that this guy seems to be related to Tang Menjiang's gunman."
Guess what their relationship is? You mean Rong Rue?
Yes, that guy. Rong Rue has an uncle named Rong Haiyue, a major general like your father. This Yang Rongshuan is Rong Haiyue's wife. They have a daughter together named Rong Anna. Rong Haiyue's wife. Li Xiqing frowned deeply. Is there any problem? Can you find out more about what Yang Rongshuan used to do? It is best to find out more than 20 years ago. Why are you digging so deep? Luo Zhan asked, and then he thought of something. You suspect that she is your biological mother?
Yes.
I see, I will try, but I can only check what is recorded on the internet. You still have to wait until after the new year to find a professional to check. Well, I know, thank you. Luo Zhan was speechless. How could Li Xiqing say something like that? When will you go back to Kingstown? O Ming said that he was going to throw a birthday party for his woman and asked us to all go. What does his woman's birthday party have to do with me? Does Xiao? Su asked. Li and said. Ming, Su he Su. Su, I Xian, that woman, O Ming, rarely has a good relationship with anyone. Isn't it the same for your woman? She should at least support someone, right? Okay, got it. When? Chapter 448.
Cheng Yu.
Li Xiqing raised his eyebrows slightly and seemed to have guessed something. Luo Zhan coughed again, his cheeks slightly red, and his eyes drifted away. Yes, after all, it's a birthday party. Of course, the more people the better. Special Assistant Cheng Yu is smart and beautiful. She can definitely liven up the atmosphere, don't you think? Give up. You can't get her at all. Luo Zhan, for women, could chat and be friends, but when it came to dating, he was not on the same level as Rong Rue. How could he compete? But Luo Zhan was not convinced and asked, What? Is Cheng Yu so difficult to get? And I am not bad looking. Although I am a bit of a homebody, at least I am a clean and handsome guy. Why can't I get her? She seems to be taken.
Who?
Rong Rue. Rong Rue, Rong Rue again. Luo Zhan slammed the table and roared, This guy is deliberately going against me, right? The first 2 times we fought, he did not gain any advantage. Now even a woman wants to compete with me. Damn. Li Xiqing was silent for a moment and asked with a slight playfulness, You have worked with Cheng Yu for so long before. Did you have any feelings? Luo Zhan's voice stopped, and he was unable to restrain his rage as he quibbled. That's because I didn't have that thought. If I had this thought a little earlier, then with my charm, I would have crushed her beneath my fingers sooner or later. Luo Zhan clearly heard the sound of snorting on the other side of the phone. Obviously, Li Xiqing laughed. Hey, are you my brother? Why are you siding with an outsider? I don't care. You have to bring Cheng Yu over to me, or I will not work for you in the future. Let's see what you can do. Li Xiqing raised an eyebrow, but he was not angry. He asked, Are you threatening me? Luo Zhan was a bit scared. To be honest, if he did not work for him, it was actually Luo Zhan who would suffer. But in this situation, he could not soften. So, Luo Zhan bit the bullet and said, Yes, I am threatening you. Anyway, you bring Cheng Yu over to me. Okay, I'll try my best, Li Xiqing responded, obviously in a good mood. Luo Zhan was about to breathe a sigh of relief, and then Li Xiqing said, I won't transfer the money to you this time. We'll offset each other. Go and check on Rong Xian. F***CK. Luo Zhan panicked. What a profiteer. You. Before she finished, Li Xiqing had already hung up. Well, the evil capitalists. Luo Zhan moved the mouse and searched for information fiercely, but the more he thought about it, the angrier he got. Why? Why is Rong Rue always against me? Is Cheng Yu blind? Haha. Cheng Yu was sitting on the sofa in pajamas watching a variety show, happily peeling sugar oranges and laughing her head off. Suddenly, she sneezed and rubbed her nose. Damn, who is scolding me on New Year's Day? As soon as she murmured, she heard her phone ring. It was Mrs. Chung. Hey, Yu, I'm downstairs. Ouch, I just fell when I was walking. It hurts. Cheng Yu was shocked and sat up from the sofa. She quickly put on the cotton slippers and ran outside. Mom, hold on. I'll be right there. Cheng Yu's home was on the second floor, but when she went downstairs and wandered around, she did not see Mrs. Cheng. Chapter 449. Cheng Yu's heart was beating like thunder. At this moment, a figure came from afar. He was wearing a dark blue down jacket, and his footsteps looked steady and calm. It was none other than Rong Rue. When she saw him, she immediately turned her head and ran up to the second floor. However, when she went downstairs, the door was not closed. Now that she came back, it was locked tightly. The phone suddenly rang. It was the landline at home. She immediately picked it up. She was gasping for breath. Yu, I'm going to spend some alone time with your father today. It's not convenient for you to be here. You can find a place to stay outside. That's all. Mommy loves you. Mwah. After saying that, the busy tone of the phone was heard. Cheng Yu was dumbfounded. Didn't she say she fell down? Didn't she say she was injured? What the hell is a two-person world? Where did you learn to kiss? Hearing the calm and gentle footsteps behind her, she finally understood that she had been sold. Damn! Cheng Yu kicked the door hard. Cheng Zhanxiong, Wang Chunhua. Open the door for me. How can you sell your daughter like this? You are heartless and unjust. You are selling your daughter for glory. Uncle Wang next door opened the door, looked over and teased. Yu, quarreling with your parents again? Cheng Yu was so angry that she gasped. Hearing Uncle Wang's words, she calmed down and shook her head. No, Uncle Wang, you should rest. Hey, is this your boyfriend? Uncle Wang pointed to Rong Rue behind her. Before she answered, Rong Rue took over the conversation, nodded and said, Yes. Oh, he is so good-looking. Perfect for Yu. You should also rest early. Good night. Cheng Yu quickly explained, You misunderstood. Good night, Uncle Wang. Rong Rue interrupted her directly and said to Uncle Wang. Cheng Yu was so angry that she kicked him hard. However, she was wearing a pair of cotton slippers, so the kicks did not hurt him. Rong Rue ignored her behavior and said calmly, Your mom asked me to take care of you, so I came. Take care of you? Okay, come back to the capital with me. I will give you this opportunity. Go away. I don't want to see you. Rong Rue, why are you so annoying? But I really want to see you. I've already said that I'm yours. I'll always be yours. Bah! I don't want it. That won't do. You want to leave after eating? How can there be such a good thing? At the very least, you have to take responsibility, right? I said I don't want you to take responsibility. But I want you to be responsible. Rong Rue looked at her, feeling wronged. I'm a noble man. I gave my first time to you, and you want to leave? This is too wishful thinking. If this gets out, how am I going to live? Get lost. She had never hated a person so much. If she had known that he was such a clingy character, she would not have been with him no matter how much she wanted to. Now she regretted it so much. Rong Rue stopped talking. He glanced at her thin pajamas and asked, Not cold? It's none of your business. Get lost. He took off his coat and wanted to help her put it on, but she subconsciously took a step back, which made all his actions stop abruptly.
Chapter 450. She is my mother, not yours. Get out.
Chengyu never realized that her temper was so bad. She kept telling him to get out. If he did not come, he would have beaten her to death. Seeing that he really left, she pouted, threw the coat into the trash can, turned around, and began to press the doorbell frantically. After a few minutes, there was still no sign of opening the door. However, the temperature was getting lower and lower. Chengyu did not feel it before, but now she only felt cold all over, making her shiver. Her eyes fell on the coat in the trash can. The garbage bag was new and should have just been changed. There was nothing inside. When she was hesitating whether to pick it up or not, the door next door opened. Carrying 2 garbage bags, he threw them directly, then looked at her strangely, turned around, and left. Chengyu wanted to cry, but there were no tears. She finally realized what it meant to die. She turned around and continued to press the doorbell. She was so cold that she could only shiver. She shouted in a trembling voice, Mom, my good mom, do a good deed and open the door for your daughter."
No response.
Chengyu continued to shout, "Dad, my good dad, I am your daughter.
Even you don't want me anymore?"
Her father's heart was sour, and he almost couldn't help but get up and open the door for her. However, seeing the warning look from her mother, he finally calmed down. "Am I really your biological child or not?
Why are you doing this to me? I will freeze to death." No response.
Cheng-Yu's nose was red from the cold, and her nose was running. Holding her arms, she walked to the stairs and sat down, staring at the door. His eyes were fixed on the door. However, after several minutes, there was still no movement from the door. What the hell? Cheng-Yu stood up irritably and went downstairs. There was a 24-hour convenience store at the entrance of the community.
Cheng-Yu asked for a cup of hot coffee.
When she was about to pay with her mobile phone, she pressed the button and found that there was only 1% battery left. Her eyes widened and she shouted, "Hurry up, there is no battery." The waiter quickly handed over the scanner, but it was still a step too late.
Sheba!
Cheng-Yu was going crazy. She slammed the phone on the table, scaring the waiter.
"How much is the coffee?"
A calm, low male voice sounded behind her, and she immediately looked back. It was him. "Well, are you talking about this lady?"
"Yes."
16 yuan. He gave her the cash and found that she was staring at him. He chuckled helplessly and glanced at her outfit.
"Where is the coat I gave you?"
"I lost it." Taking the coffee and the phone, she found a warm place to sit down and said, "I will pay you back for the coffee and the coat."
"How much is it?"
Rong Rue did not answer. Instead, he took off the scarf around his neck and shook it gently, turning it into a shawl. Cheng-Yu looked at it and blinked. Rong Rue draped the big scarf over her. His movements were not big, as if he was carefully testing her. She did not refuse and let him put it on her, curling up comfortably. Much warmer. The scarf was full of his scent. She drank her coffee, bowed her head and said, "I will give you money for this too."
"How much is it?"
Chapter 451. Cheng-Yu knew what he wanted. Hearing his words, she inexplicably felt a little humiliated. Did he think that she would sleep with him for a cup of coffee, a coat, and a scarf? Ha ha! Cheng-Yu put the cup on the table, pulled off the scarf on her body, and threw it back at him. Then, she picked up the coffee and walked to the cashier. Cheng-Yu smiled and said, "Hello, I am a resident in room 203 above.
My name is Cheng-Yu.
I used to order delivery here. I don't have any money with me now. Can I?" "Enough." Rong Rue strode over and pulled her hand.
"Are you done? Come with me."
Cheng-Yu was caught off guard. Half of the cup of coffee also shook and spilled on her hand. The hot liquid made her gasp. He also knew that he had made a big move, but the anger in his heart was burning more and more fiercely. What did she think of him? He was clearly in front of her, and she could rely on him. How could she think of borrowing money from a girl she didn't know? Reaching out and pulling out a pack of tissues on the counter, he took down the coffee in her hand and took out a tissue to wipe it for her. Cheng-Yu shook him off, stared at him, and strode out of the convenience store. This was simply the worst luck of 8 lifetimes. If it weren't for him, she should now be at home watching TV comfortably. How could she be driven out by her parents like this? He took out a bill, slapped it on the cashier without looking at it for a long time, and then directly chased after her. It was windy outside. Changyu was only wearing a long-sleeved lavender pajamas. Being blown by the cold wind, she shivered and folded her arms. Rong Rue was behind her, wrapping the scarf around her without any explanation. Then he took off his sweater, grabbed it, and put it on her. Changyu was a little hurt by his rough movements and shouted, "What are you doing?" He did not speak, but directly pulled her hand up and put it on the sleeves of the sweater. After that, he pulled off the scarf on her body and put it around her neck. Perhaps it was because of the pain, or the grievance that she had been holding back all night. She inexplicably felt a lump in her throat. Holding her hand, Rong Rue walked in front of her quickly. She couldn't keep up with him and stumbled, dropping a cotton shoe. "My shoes!" she shouted. He stopped and found that she didn't even wear socks. Rong Rue's anger surged for no reason as he roared, "What the hell are you doing? You don't even wear socks. Are you hiding them to eat?" Changyu was inexplicably yelled at. She was so angry that she couldn't breathe. She shouted back, "What the fuck are you yelling at? What's so great about wearing socks? Try one. That king retard. Let go." Rong Rue's hand was thrown away and he saw her go back to pick up the shoes. Under the cold wind, his thin and small body was covered with a large sweater. He was wearing clothes that fit him perfectly, but it reached the center of her thighs. It looked funny and cute. All the anger in his heart had disappeared. She didn't want to see him, so she put on her shoes and walked in the opposite direction of him. Feeling helpless, Rong Rue shouted, "Hey!" Chapter 452. She stopped, flushed with anger, walked quickly toward him, and reached out to untie her scarf. He was only wearing a black shirt, which outlined his figure. It was very nice. But in this cold wind, it was a little thin. She threw the scarf away and reached out to take off her sweater, but he held her in his arms. "What's the hurry? Take it off later." Take it off later. She was so embarrassed that she twisted her body. "Don't touch me, don't touch me." But no matter how she struggled, he did not let go. She was furious and took the opportunity to slap him in the face. Rong Rue was slapped hard in the face. He was stunned for a moment, and then his face fell. It was not very painful, but it was the first time in his life to be slapped by a woman. She saw his face change and was shocked. Before she could react, she was carried by him and walked to the side of the road. "Hey, what do you want?" He did not answer, reached out to stop an empty taxi, opened the back seat, threw her in, and sat down. "To Yijing Bay." "Rome." He turned his head and looked at her. There was anger on his face, but he was unspeakably calm. His voice was low and hoarse. "Do you want to sleep on the street? Or sleep on the stairs? Or, do you think your mom will open the door for you? Or do you think the little girl in the convenience store will lend you money to stay in a hotel?" He said with certainty, and she was speechless for a while. "Now, behave yourself. I'll get another room for you to stay in tonight." Changyu opened her mouth, but in the end, she didn't say a word and sat down. However, it was cold. There was no heater in the taxi, and she was shivering. The pajamas were too thin, and she only had a thin pair of pajama pants. However, when she saw the unlined shirt on him, she pretended to be calm. He glanced at her and reached out to pull her over. She was shocked, subconsciously curled up her hands, and exclaimed, "What are you doing?" "Cold." He hugged her and said confidently, "My clothes are all worn by you, and now I'm freezing to death." She did not make a sound, moved a little, and wanted to get up. "Don't move. Lean together and keep warm." Indeed, it was much warmer. In less than 15 minutes, the car stopped in front of Yijing Bay. Rong Rue took her up the stairs. When they reached the cashier, he took out his wallet and ID card to check in. However, after the cashier entered his identity information, she smiled politely. "Sir, your ID card has already been used for a room. You can check in directly." "I gave it to her." "Can this lady please show me her ID?"
No ID, ran away from home very pitiful. Then I can't help you get a room. Are you a couple? Yes. No. The two of them spoke in unison. The cashier smiled. If so, please provide us your ID number. We will verify your identity online. After confirming it, you can stay in the same room as this gentleman. ID number, tell her. Chung Yu stomped her feet and said, I'm going home. He pulled her back and said, I booked a king-size room, enough for 2 people. However, she was not just disgusted by this. Wan Lily. Oh, the little white rabbit is in the wolf's den. Can't you see that? You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.